It's Friday.
It's Friday, my dudes.
TGIF, everybody. Oh, thank God it's Friday. It was a long week. Wednesday hit, and I was like, Jesus, it's only Wednesday. It's only hump day. F the man. F the man and his slave wages. Anyway, welcome to Have No Sphere, right here on the Iron One Media YouTube channel. My name is Josh Corey, and I think we're going to have a really exciting show for you today. Because, what day is it?
It's ham day, baby!
That's right.
Tina, come get some ham.
It's ham day. There was a guy at work I heard was a ham radio operator. And it came to mind that I happen to know two ham radio operators. And it's interesting because one was a ham radio operator that came to Flat Earth. The other one was a flat earther that came to ham radio. Either way, I figured the three of them sitting down and having a conversation would be really good. Derek, with whom I work, has been running his ham for quite a while. He got started when he was like 4. His uncle gave, like he and his cousins or something, some walkie-talkies. And from there, that went on to CB radios, which went on to ham radios. So he's been having fun with the airwaves for a good long while. So he will be here just as soon as he gets here and not a moment later. I told him to come whenever he can. He's got to get his kiddos situated and everything and get down and get his whole rig fired up. But as of yesterday, he said he will definitely be here. So fingers are crossed. So in the meantime, let's just say hello to the gang, starting off with Mr. John Savage. John, how the hell are you?
Savage.
Hey Josh, hello everyone. Blimey, lots of dings and dongs and clickings and everything going on tonight, isn't there? Yeah, no, good week. I say that every week, but yeah, it's just melting into one long year at the moment. I don't know. Yeah, long.
Born and then you die.
Long
Happy
week.
Friday.
It's just I'm used to having a house to me and the dog from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. every day, apart from the weekends. And now I've got kids, I've got the dog, I've got the wife, I've got
This isn't what you signed up for with a family. What the hell?
It's just not in the job description. I'm going to have to renegotiate terms here, but yeah, doing all right. Looking forward to the show, and yeah, we should move on. There's quite a few peeps here.
There is. Let's move right along. Let's say hello to Mrs. Cammie Nodell. Just because it's always fun to say hi to Cammie. Cammie, how are you doing, my dear? How was your week?
Week is doing really good. We have a start of a busy weekend. We already had Nathan and Austin over this morning getting the kinks worked out and started on their, I believe they're calling it their World Clown Tour. And then right after they left, we had Karen pop over, and I was over at her house yesterday, borrowed her sander, and took her drill. So we're working on cabinetry here. She was I don't know, maybe she wasn't in the neighborhood, but she made it our neighborhood, brought over and switched out the drill and the sander for me because she knows we're working on the cabinets. So it's been a fun day going into what's going to be, looks like a very eventful weekend with everybody in town. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's something. I really don't envy your guys' popularity. I do not at all. People just popping on all times of the hours, all hours of the night. Jesus, what am I trying to say? Driving God knows what.
Oh, not so bad. This one again, part of the working out the kinks is Nathan on the tour has been in the van, and now they're in an RV. So they were going to be over here for a few days, but they have a very, very big RV, and we're on a very little narrow private street or private road that dead ends, that there's no room to turn around, and yeah, big vehicles don't go down this street. So we're working out the logistics, and they have it figured out. Just Jack said he had just the place for them. So we're going to be motoring back and forth between properties because, yeah, we didn't realize how huge their vehicle is. It's beautiful. but it's going to be a different experience probably than other times he's had that you can't take it everywhere. It's big, and they're learning. They had it in a ditch yesterday and got it out. So I mean, they're learning the hard way, but yeah, different. Chris, you brought it out here. It's different country than out west, and so that's what makes a good adventure, isn't it? They're learning experience and working out all the kinks. So they have quite a journey going.
Yeah, well, my comment definitely was not Nathan and Austin specific. I think even since when you guys were in Colorado, I think you guys just tend to be the party spot. That's where everybody wants to go and hang out. So again, I
Well,
do not envy your popularity.
honey, do we give good party? I like
I
to cook.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. I mean, I agree with you, Josh, because sometimes I don't like it when people just show up, but when it's around the occasions and stuff like that, it's a lot of fun. So I kind of make exceptions for that. And and they're all good people, so it's cool.
That helps. That definitely helps.
Yeah.
So big shout out to Witsit Gets It and Nathan Thompson out there, both getting it. So they plan on going across country, huh?
Yepers.
That's something. Whew. And in this day and age, that ought to be something. That's I wonder how many impound lots they're gonna have to dig that RV out of.
Yeah, God.
They
I
are not, yeah, they're not the first people going through. Well, it was now a week that we had the the Whiskas coming through, and they're on their way to the West Coast also doing a cross country venture. So yeah, a few different people making it across the country and meeting people and turning them onto flat Earth along the way. So
That is
interesting times, yeah.
awesome. Well, that was Kimmy and Bob. We'll just knock both the no-dells out of it right there. Perfect.
There you go. Hello,
And-
everybody.
And while we're in the neighborhood, let's say hello to Zachary Zabala. You may know him as Good Times for All. Zach, are you awake yet, sir?
Yeah, I'm about. I don't know how awake I am. Yeah, I'm just haven't been back to bed. Didn't get much sleep last night. I don't know. Full moon, maybe. I don't know. Some scientists are talking about how the full moon might affect your sleep and menstrual cycles and this stuff.
Oh, thank God for science.
Yeah,
Who would have
I never
thought?
heard that before, But yeah, no, it's just one of those tireds where you're so tired you can't fall asleep. It's one of those. So yeah, I'm all right, but just blah. So yeah, that's how I sound. That's how I hear everything right now.
Just for you, because I know you love it.
Well, thank you.
And let's say hello to our newest gang member, member of the gang, Lucas, LC King on YouTube. Lucas, how are you doing? How is your Friday/Saturday going for you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yep, just working my way into the morning and chilling out with you guys. It's good fun.
Awesome. And then I guess since we're in the Ironworks neighborhood, we will round it out with one Mr. Walter Johnson, Flat Earth Head here on YouTube. Walter, how is your Friday, sir? And don't
Well, it
forget,
was good until I dropped the mute button instead of unmuting it. Oh my goodness. So it's that Friday again. Yeah. Hello, everybody. I am completely still just waking up to Zach, so don't feel so bad. And Lucas, look, dude, you have got to learn to expound a bit more and come out. I'm just giving you shit, dude.
I'm working my way into it. It's slow.
That's it. That's it. That's what's up. That's what's up. Oh man, it's Friday for sure. We had a crazy show this morning. Lots of craziness. So if you missed it, you should go check it out. It should be linked.
I
If it's
didn't
not,
think they could get more fun. Sorry,
right?
Walt, but with Lucas, I don't know.
I know, dude. That's what I'm
I
saying.
think
It's
we're
got
all
even
laughing
crazier.
just that much more every
Yep.
morning.
So,
Yeah, it's great.
yep. If we can just get him to shut up. But certainly, he said, I think after yesterday's show, last Friday's show, he felt like he was talking too much. So I'm definitely giving you shit, Lucas. You're doing fine. I just need you to cover my
Just-
ass while I'm waking up.
Just
That's all it
depends
is.
on the topic, you know. A little key unlocks something,
And what
then
time
all
of the
a
day?
sudden
I
it's like
keep,
a
you're also time
blah.
traveling, right? You're time traveling.
Yeah.
So when I'm up, you're down. When you're down, I'm up. We'll work it out. We'll get the balance for sure. And hello to everyone else here on the panel. It did give me time to say hi to some folks in chat. If I missed you, you know I still love you, and I wasn't trying to neglect anybody. But for a minute, I had some time to type, so I typed as fast as I could. Yeah, it's going to be a hammy day. I can't wait. I'll learn more here than I will be probably participating, because this is a topic I am definitely under-informed about. I had a neighbor who had a setup about 10 years ago, and he literally passed away within a couple of months of me moving in. I got to know his widow and helped her around the house there a lot. She had some, she was older, and helped her with the yard work and things like that. But her decision was to disassemble it and take it all down and sell it. And I didn't know enough about it to offer what it was worth, to her. So I kind of missed my shot probably right there. But yeah, he had a crazy rig set up in his room there. Lots of stuff. I had no clue what it was, as I was very carefully disassembling it.
Be over here for a few days.
And I got to quit hitting that button.
I'm still are there actually people in chat that get the hump if you don't type hello to them? I think that's probably the main reason I don't bother with chat.
It doesn't. I just feel myself guilty if I don't get everyone I see as I'm starting the thing and saying hey to folks and being glad they're with us. It just, because as the show progresses, you lose time for that and things get hectic, and then sometimes I'm completely sidetracked.
I'll just say hello to everyone in chat, and
that's it.
That's the easiest way.
Well,
isn't it?
early on, you can grab it and get everybody, but as it fills up, it'll be more and more impossible. So I did my best. Anyway, you have a second screen for that, sir. You are now the official chat wrangler. I think I put that in your job description on your resume. On your dossier.
I'll be getting that with the paycheck. Is that right? The updated job description thing.
Right. Send that invoice. You mentioned the invoice. Send that out.
Hello, Alison. See how good I am?
What? What's up?
That'll be the last one, though. So what's been happening this week,
Before we
then?
get hammy, well, that's what I was going to say. Before we get too hammy, I guess we should mention bringing up ABCs there, that we had an interesting day the other day with her and Alex. The plan from last Friday show was to get together with some folks, and with especially Allison requesting it there in chat, and do some role playing on confrontations with the mask holes out there in the world that feel empowered and entitled to, give you health advice as they stock shelves. So Alex, having put up an amazing video showing how to deftly handle it, we thought he would be the person to, kind of help guide, maybe help set a semi-script in place that you can kind of internalize and then be able to just go with when things get off script, if you will. So we definitely learned some things, got comfortable with each other. We'll progress more on the week when we'll have Allison and Alex live here to kind of present what we've been doing behind the scenes. But yeah, it was awesome. And it actually helped me and Shell the other day. The day after that, or maybe it was yesterday. Who knows? This week's been blurry for me. But yeah, we had at least 3 different folks decide they were stock clerks and healthcare workers. So we let them know that we were exempt, and if they wanted to pursue that, they could go take it up with the governor. And we moved on, and they left us alone. So
Yeah, my wife went to the supermarket again tonight, and gutted. No one said anything. There's a new guy on the door, and she was all
right, you're
ready.
now. You're shooting the bar. Right?
Yeah, just walked straight in. She was like, "Yeah, bugger." Because I was talking to her during the week, because I feel terrible that she has to go through this crap to go to a fucking supermarket to get food to feed her family, and so I certainly wouldn't do it. So I've been trying to sort of set up or ask her, should I look around for online, farm-based produce that can be delivered and this sort of thing, and it was sort of met with negativity, and she was like, no, I don't. And yesterday she said, part of it is that she doesn't want them to have the satisfaction of stopping her going to a shop and picking out her own vegetables and fruit and all the rest of it. And I just thought, yeah, love you. Again, what a cracking woman she is. But yeah, and to anyone out there that goes out and ventures into the land of zombies, then good on you, I say. I couldn't do it if you paid me.
Yeah, it's really not bad here in the Kakalaki region. They say closer to the coast, near the big cities like Charlotte and stuff like that, people are real, but it's somewhat rural here. And yeah, I mean, you even go into stores and most of the people aren't wearing them, but they'll put them up if there's people wearing them, walking around in the store. They'll pull it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, most people don't care around here. I've never had anyone say anything to me. They offered me one at Sam's Club, and I just kindly refused. No, thank you, ma'am. I'm all right.
Yeah, there's a way of dealing with it, and it was a really good conversation on Wednesday. And yeah, have you seen Alex's new video? It's
I did. It was great. I missed the live premiere. He was going to do it right after we talked the other day, and I assumed it would be another lengthy video like the other one. So I kind of slowly proceeded to the live chat he was going to have up, and it was already over because it was a nice, short, succinct video. So yeah, but it was great when I watched it. I've already shared it to in-laws that definitely need to see such things. So,
do you get any feedback when you share that sort of thing?
Well, it's going through Shell. She's going to be actually taking it to them this weekend. So I sent it out to a buddy of mine, but he hasn't actually gotten back to me yet. We'll see if he ever does. He's one of the holdouts that just refuses to. I don't know. It's almost like anything I try to present these days. He's anti that because of the whole flat earth thing. You know how it is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's like what we were talking about earlier. You've only got one shot at it, haven't you? And if you overstep the mark, then literally everything you ever say again from then on is.
Yeah, they just check that. Oh, he's crazy. He's flat. No, never mind. I don't have to listen to this one. I'm safe in my bubble. Yep. I'm sure I'm not the only one on this panel that's had that experience, though. So, and I feel like I'm talking too much now, Lucas. So I'm going to shut up and let you take over.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
leave it to other more professional people than myself.
Right. You got this, brother. You got this. I'm just giving you crap again because I'm still waking up, and apparently the coffee's kicking in. So again, I'll shut up.
I'm thinking of making coffee. Yeah, like Zach says, so many of the people, there's a lot of people without masks here, and the people that are wearing masks, like the employees and the ones that have to wear them. I would say over 50% of like the employees that have to wear masks are not covering their nose or just flat out wearing it on their
Right. Little
chin or
chin diaper. Right.
right. And again on the required one, but there really are a lot of people here that aren't wearing them, and it's good to see. It's good, we're
Well,
just
except
really
that
not having problems.
Except at the DMV, everybody was wearing one there.
No, did you see there was the guy behind us that wasn't? I was
Really?
like, yeah, he was two people behind us in the line, and he was not wearing one, and nobody said anything to him. Or if they did, they said it outside, but he was in the thing and he had no mask on.
Oh, wow. I
We
didn't notice that.
Yeah, we're trying to make it over several obstacles to get our driver's licenses, and we kind of, I don't know if chickened the right word or whatever, but we did not want to draw any attention.
No, we flat out cut because I didn't want to jack around and start a bunch of crap over the mask and get
have them
we had to
turn down
register
us.
cars and it was insane.
Yeah. We had a whole bunch to get through. So yeah, we went in and did the federal stuff, but I did notice that there was one person probably as a young man, probably like 25, 26 in there without anything. And the interesting, we'll take us everybody off topic, but this caused several hours of thought experiments for me. But at the driver's license place, the person a couple aisles over that was talking to her, there was somebody at the driver's license place that had just gotten out of prison after being there 25 years. So he was like explaining, and he was using a loud voice to somebody that probably has been in, prison. No, I don't have anything yet. I just got out today. I've been in prison for 25 years. Can you imagine? I would have loved to sat and talk to him.
Right? His reaction to what he came out into, my God.
Right. He went in
It was
for
the
Y2K.
90s.
It was the 90s. It was the 90s when he went
Lord,
in,
yeah,
and
he
there was
was-
no Y2K. There was no 9/11 hadn't happened yet. The buildings, and he comes out and everybody's in masks.
Everyone's still using cell phone, those bricks.
Right.
He's like, why doesn't my beeper work?
I've been out 3 days and nobody's hit me on the hip yet. What the fuck?
What's if they did? I don't see one damn payphone anywhere. What do I do?
Well,
yeah.
we don't have to wear masks or anything even in the stores now, so it's pretty good. But the other day I did see someone still driving in a car wearing a mask. I'm just like, what? You don't even have to. It's like,
Oh, they'll,
Really?
they'll
You guys
police.
don't have to wear masks there?
no.
And did they come
Excellent.
out and say
got-
that
we
over the
got-
media? Did they come out and say, as of today, masks won't be required, or did it just fizzle out?
I think they said it. I think it was, I think it just, the word got around somehow.
Nice.
Don't
That's-
ask me to keep.
Here they're
I
they're
read-
encouraging
Let's face
2
it.
masks here. Lucas, there's no joke. They're encouraging double masking here.
Well,
Mhm.
5
Oh,
would
that's
be
90%.
better.
Now it's
effective.
4. Now they
Now
want
it's
4
4
masks.
because I think one mask is only 33% effective, or what was that?
Well, yeah, four. You put one here,
So,
one here, and 2 here, and then you
Uh-huh.
might have to escape some of this shit.
If you really cared about your fellow man, you'd wear 10.
Yeah.
You'd
And
be
I'm sure you guys have seen the
125%
memes
effective.
with the mask
But-
stacked out to.
But they're
Yeah.
selling to Americans, and this is the land of people that think the more razor blades, the better. I mean, because we were making jokes when they had the double blades that, like, what are they going to do next 3 and then 4 and 5? And sure enough, they did. Think about it.
No, you're joking, Kimmy. We were watching old Saturday Night Lives, and one of the joke commercials they went to was a
Yeah.
crazy 5-blade razor. The first blade pulls the hair out.
Right. Yeah. We were making
Blade
huge.
slices it in. The third blade slices through your flesh. The fifth blade, cauterizes the wound. And we're like, people are buying those. Like,
But yeah, the real
$15,
product now. We
$20 a
did.
pop for 3 of them and shit. It's like, what is going on with people? I need
You
one
are
blade.
absolutely right, though. It does when they came up with the second blade. The initial
I gotta
reaction was to make
say-
jokes, but then we worked our way into it really nicely.
As somebody who has a thick beard and very dense face stubble, the more blades do help. I'm just saying.
They do.
I
Undoubtedly.
You don't have to. Cleaning them out is not nearly as hard. Because I just make one little
Keep my
scrape,
5.
and
I'll keep my 2.
all 5 of
Yeah.
those blades are full of hair that's just like doesn't want to come out.
I'll just
I
keep my
find-
beard, I think.
From the girl thing, which is like the legs and the arm things, there's a huge difference between a single and a double. But once you get to it's not. I mean, there isn't. I can't tell a difference at all between a 2-blade or a 5-blade or that. In fact,
Oh,
I think
can't.
the more blades they work actually a little bit worse when you get up to. Maybe it was just a razor or the angle it was at, but I haven't found any.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
think-
like I
I
said,
don't
you
have it- I don't have any whiskers
hair
tough
on
enough.
your body. Yeah,
That's tough enough,
like
doesn't
my
it?
face.
Can I just say that Antecedent Algonquin Collective has hit the nail on the head? I think we need to push hard for the people that really care about their fellow man, instead of wearing masks, to wear plastic bags, because that's the only surefire way to make sure that stops the spread. We know masks are pretty much ineffective, but a plastic bag, however, not only shows your commitment to your fellow man, but your commitment to your government.
Right,
But-
it's a
Oh.
symbol.
How about what
Do you know
about
what?
sticking? Actually, they just stick their head up their ass, and then you're covering
Iron
all.
butt plug.
Yeah, well, we've had them on sale since February last year, haven't we?
Something like that, yeah.
But for the mask thing, couldn't you just remember all the plastic bags that used to be labeled "Don't put over your head"? You could just cross out the "don't."
Until 2021.
Yeah, yeah, all of those things that said like, for children, beware of the danger of putting over your head, or that we could just use those products that are already out there and cross out, instead of "don't put it over your head," say "please put it over your head."
We'd need a
Well, I was
directive
thinking
here
Suffocate, yeah.
I was
from.
thinking use duct tape to attach the plastic bag, but maybe a curtain pull would work.
Yeah.
Or a red tie, a red bathrobe, maybe. I think we can figure something out. There's got to be something. I mean, why would you need 2 masks? That just seems like a waste. They're so hard to come by. They're ending up everywhere. It's just going to be a biohazard catastrophe.
Because I have it. Well,
What?
right now, and even that, what's going on is so many people reuse their masks, and again, you get sick from reusing in that, and then you have 2 of them that you're reusing and stacking, and you can't breathe, you don't get any airflow, you don't get anything there. You're gonna get what? Sick. If you get really sick and you're all down and worried and everything.
I think if you're walking around with
Well,
2 masks on your face, you're pretty sick already, to be fair.
Right.
Reduce, reuse, repurpose. Here's what you do. There's also an environmental catastrophe going on right now as we speak, and that is the plastic bag from the grocery store. They are everywhere. People put them in with their recycling and they get caught up in all the machines, and it makes single stream recycling impossible. So people have to divvy up their recycling because dumbasses put these plastic bags in there. They end up in the ocean. They're everywhere. You have to recycle them. There's just no good way to do them until now. Now we can fix that problem. We can give them to all the mask wearers. This is the new mask. The plastic bag is the new mask. This is how you save the country. This is how you get the economy back on track.
Well, you're saving lives too, because
And they're, reusable. You can wash them, put them
Well-
on again.
Right?
they can wear a mask and they can die, and then they can save everyone else's life and livelihood and economy, and do the world a favour. Job done. And depopulation. I mean, it doesn't get better than this.
You're raising the mass IQ. Let's face it.
Absolutely. I saw someone saying there's no need for IQ tests anymore. You just got to see who's wearing a mask, and I mean, it's a badge of dishonour for them. Look how fucking stupid I am. But then I suppose we really need to separate these semi-IQ'd from the retarded troglodyte IQ'd. Well, they'll be the ones wearing 2 masks, and then you'd have the utter retardation sector that'll be wearing 3 masks. And I can't wait to see someone
Or
wearing
the
2
ones
masks.
just wearing the mask by themselves in the car. Let's face it.
With a plastic bag over their head as well.
That's
Frost.
been like a steady thing, though. The maskers alone in a car driving around. I mean, how many ran off the road into ditches? Speaking of ditches, early on, I mean, that was a thing that like all these people with their, and that's still, I still see that, even though there's less people in stores with them on recently, they're still riding around with them and outside walking with them and on bicycles by themselves with them.
I remember before they even made them a thing over here, there were people killing themselves in car accidents, passing out and driving into, brick walls and shit. I mean, yeah, it's IQ cull time.
Well, recently I went into a store and was getting a new computer, and obviously the staff there are made to wear a mask. And I said, how long you been wearing it and that? And he said he's been wearing it for the last year. And I just sort of, was taking notice of his actions and how he was. And he just seemed very, I don't know if it's normal or not, but it was just very jittery. Couldn't seem to think straight about what he was doing, made little errors. And I just thought, is this normal behavior, or is this a product of, being under the influence of a mask for
Right,
a
oxygen
year?
deprivation.
But was he wearing the same mask for the year? I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know about. No, I don't think so.
But all these people that work in shops and say, we've got to wear a mask. No, you don't. you have an exemption. Every single person here on this plane has an exemption. It's called needing air to breathe. So my wife, they require you to wear a mask. She said, piss off. They said, blah, 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 blah. Don't know how to deal with that. They said, you got to have a test. She said, piss off. They said, well, they are voluntary after all. And she's like, yep. So, yeah, even if you're working in a shop, you don't have to.
You just got to imagine like this guy's, for one, in a stale shop with all the air conditioners and all the rest of that sort of stuff, that, you know, stale air. And then you got, you know, you're under those fluoro lights. Then you're wearing a mask and, you know, God, you got to feel like shit at the end of the day, let's face it.
Well, even more shit than doing that job and without having to wear the mask. But if they think that coming in contact with members of the public or whatever will increase their risk of catching some lurgy that no one's identified, then every postman on Earth would have been dead a long time ago by now, surely. Every delivery driver, every... I mean, it's just...
But we've gotten rid of the common cold and the flu now. Only in America. Are other countries claiming that as well?
Not only that, oh, I'm sorry, Zach. I was trying to find my mute button again. I'm having trouble for some reason. It keeps dropping down, and it doesn't usually do that. Not only have we not had cold, flu, those things, a lot less cancer, a lot less heart attacks. As I took my kratom moments ago, I got to realizing I have not seen the terror stories of all the people just dropping dead, trying to deal with their pain or their addiction or whatever they're using kratom for to help themselves, as it's a natural plant that's been used for centuries by cultures to heal. And our government was like literally on a drug war on it, like 2 years ago, year and a half ago, leading into 2019, heading into 2020. It was like every other week I saw a story about someone dying, dropping dead, how we have to get this horrible, deadly plant off the streets. Apparently they fixed it, and now everybody's good on the kratom, and nobody's dying, and nobody's dropping dead.
I did hear that child mortality the figures have gone through the floor because people haven't been able to make it to vaccine schedules and things like this. And also last week in the UK, it ticked over that there were more children out there with mental illnesses than there were with physical illnesses now. So that's all good.
That's because they're classifying ADD and all of that as mental, when in fact it's autoimmune and just the body going hyper and the brain with it, because the body's not well. But
and
ADD
a bunch
and all
of
that,
kids.
it's not with the children. These are all vaccine related, but they're autoimmune. Not a doctor, just a common sense comment. By the way, I take no responsibility for my comments, but it's if a common sense will tell you, it's these kids also all have the things that run with these mental illnesses are digestive tract problems, and I mean they all have autoimmune right alongside of the. And you'll see with autoimmune, one of the things you'll get is the foggy thinking and the jitters and the things like that. So yeah, they're causing something medical and reclassifying it mental.
Well, they're also turning perfectly normal children into basket cases by locking them in their houses and not allowing them the freedom of life. Yeah.
To play, to braid, with children, the social lives, the things.
Yeah.
At every step of the way. I mean, it's horrible thinking of childhood, and again, it's like you took these kids and you told them you're grounded.
Yeah, forever.
You're fucking grounded. When do we get out? Oh no, this is the new normal. You're grounded.
I mean,
when will we get to party again?
and this
is like, is there a hope? Is there a light?
And this is the kids, I mean, I class myself as relatively mentally stable, and I have up and down days. I'm like Mark Devlin, you know. Sometimes it's, you know, it comes out. Sometimes it's ignorable, but I'm having up and down days. So I can't even imagine what other people who aren't possibly as mentally stable are going through. And well, you can see it from the suicide rates. They've gone absolutely through the roof. This is killing way more people than any fake, fictitious virus boogeyman that they're pushing on us. People's heads are going to roll on this, and I take full responsibility for my comments.
Ooh, there you have it.
Well, that's my wet dream rather than a comment, I suppose.
Yeah.
Get him, Savage.
Savage!
Yeah, it's a mad, 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 mad world, is it not?
Indeed, it is.
So what's been new in your world, Bob?
Well, not a whole lot. We, you know, like Cammie said, we finally got our driver's licenses and our cars registered in the state for license plates. God, they freaking highway robbery. So like North Carolina, it doesn't cost anything to transfer your license plates over, and in South Carolina, they want nearly $300 per vehicle just to register them. Right? So it was almost $1,000.
No, it's a fee to register them. It's the registration was just a little like $45 or that, but a one-time fee moving in from state. In order, they have a they create paperwork. Yeah.
We lost our concentration there for a second.
Unbelievable.
They have another piece of paperwork that we still have to drive and deliver. They have a piece of paperwork here that internally registers you to pay property tax. But even though we've paid our property tax in full, they sent us a bill and we paid it, we still haven't registered to pay it. And if you don't register to pay it, which they say that they make you register, so you have to catch up with any back taxes, but there are no back taxes. And it's paid through next year, but I have to go and register to pay them, else my property taxes will go up 300%.
I thought the Carolinas were pretty relaxed. I thought, yeah,
They
did
are,
you
but
move to the wrong?
They have little loopholes that were. It's like, why would your property? You guys obviously know where I live because you sent me a tax bill and I paid it. Why do I need to go and? But
every state has its own little quirks, you know.
It's not bad. We like it here overall, but yeah, that was like a funny thing, and it's like, well, they're like, well, we do it, make people come in that way. They have to pay their back or deal with it, and it's like, but. But there are none.
Do you guys have to pay like vehicle registration every year? Because that's what we have to do.
Every year. Yep.
Yeah, and ours is like extreme, really.
Now there are
It's
lots
only
of people that don't do
$600
it
for each car.
And there are states.
Oh, ours are like these are like $40 or $50
time
a
period
year
as well.
I'm
Like
sorry,
some
what?
people
Say
have
that again.
There are, like here in Louisiana, excuse me, you
Mhm.
can pay for an extended time period, like 2 years, 5 years, whatever. So you don't have to do it every year.
Oh wow, I don't know if that was ever available for us. It was just usually every year you had to do it.
Louisiana has a lot of Napoleonic law things that kind of make us kind of different. I mean, our whole system is parishes rather than counties. It's a whole thing here. So I'm sure it's.
So how does this sort of thing work in Florida, where they don't even have income tax? I mean, if they don't charge income tax, surely they don't charge vehicle registration tax?
No, not necessarily. Like I know Florida, because they didn't charge income tax to the people, they make it up in other weird taxes. I even remember having like extra telecommunications taxes and weird things that you had to pay, embedded taxes and fees in Florida. I know if your businesses like they wanted a certain percentage of your business if you use their, I don't know, they had some other weird fees and things built into Florida stuff, a lot of weird things built in. If they don't get you in one place, they're going to get you in another.
And Florida makes so much money on tourism that they take a lot of that money and they put it to the state. So I think there's some type of tourism tax, possibly something like that. I know because of all the tourism, their state parks are fully funded. They don't have to be funded by. Yeah, it's weird. Like all their state parks have heated showers and all stuff for free. which you're not going to find almost anywhere else in the country. Florida's weird like that because of their recreation that they get.
John Savage, because you haven't been over here doing this is what you're going to find. And in every state, you're going to have quirky, weird laws in different areas. And again, each law can pass their own little fun rules, but you have liquor laws. You have in Texas is one of the funnest for liquor laws because some places you can't have liquor in them. Other places you can have liquor, but you can't drink it. You have to bring your own liquor into restaurants and they have to open it and pour it. You can't order from restaurant, but you can bring your own bottle of liquor and drink your own. And I mean, they're all kinds of weird ass laws.
Yeah, Kentucky has a lot of dry counties where they just don't allow alcohol at all.
Wow.
In the whole county.
Might be going there then. But yeah, it's the world over, and it swings and roundabouts. They'll kick you in the bollocks or punch you in the teeth, but either way, they'll get their pound of flesh.
That's crazy.
I got word from Derek. He's on his way. He got his kids picked up. I'm sure traffic's a little hectic. He lives basically kind of out there where I moved from. So
I have a question. What does when you titled the show, you said going ham, and then you put H period, A period, M period as if it was an acronym. And if it is, what does that mean? Because I have no idea what that means.
It is an acronym.
For
hard as a motherfucker.
Oh, well, there you have. Okay. Yeah, because I never have come up with the answer to that. Maybe I should.
I was trying to do it myself in the head too, Bob, and I couldn't make it work anyway. So for flat or anything. So yeah, I love it.
Yep. I have no idea what it really means. So, I don't even know why they call it ham radio. I don't get that.
No.
I figured that was like year one, ham 101. They don't teach you guys that. I'm being
No, I have no clue why it's called ham radio.
Wow. Apparently, I'm sorry. I just saw this trying to play catch up in chat. In Florida, you have to register a car every year, but you buy a license plate once, and it's like $350. Is what Fifi's Whirl is telling us.
See, Missouri, if it's a year that ends in an even number, then you get a car registration for 1 year. But if it ends in an odd number, then you can register it for 2 years.
You're making that up.
Swear to God.
But only if the month ends in Y, right?
We've got rules like that over here in the UK when you can go to the dump and drop your stuff off at the dump. If you've got, same thing with odds and evens and that. And if there's an A in the day and a T in the day and this sort of thing, it's so. I just want to get off.
How about this?
Crazy.
Not really, Bob. You had that in Denver. It was called the watering restrictions. If your address ends in an even number, you can water on these days. If it ends in an odd number these days, and sometimes they would restrict that in between this hour and that hour. And
so, how about what, Josh?
No, this is why their radio amateurs are called hams.
Okay.
So maybe this is where it came from.
I've never Googled it.
I have. It says, well, the word ham, as applied to 1908, was the station call of the first amateur wireless stations operated by some amateurs of the Harvard Radio Club. They were Albert S. Hyman, Bob Almy, and Poogie Murray.
H-A-N-M. Okay.
Yep. At first, they called their station Hyman, Almy, Murray, tapping out each a long name in code, soon to become tiresome, and called for a revision. They changed it to HYALMU, using the first two letters of each of their names. Early in 1901, some confusion resulted between the signals from amateur wireless stations, HYALMU, and a Mexican ship named HYALMO, and they decided to use only the first letter of each name, and the station call became ham.
I think there's probably as many explanations as there are ham radio operators out there, to be honest. I've seen I've read articles about why it's called this, and I can't remember any of them, so that's of no use whatsoever. I was watching someone today, though, Bob, downloading images from over HF from the ISS. What do you think is going on there? Balloons?
Down on HF from the ISS?
Yeah. What is
Really?
it? SSTV or whatever it's called. It's a
Slow scan
digital
television?
mode. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, slow scan television just has a really low refresh rate, and I would think that, going at 17,500 mile an hour, you wouldn't have much of a window, right? To
No.
be able to get to it.
No, it was, I'd say about 8 minutes maybe, but he managed to download two images.
about-
One of them was of a satellite, of course.
Yeah, about the same as, I mean, the most I've seen. In fact, I did a presentation on this about the ISS, where you can see it traveling at 17,500 miles per hour for up to 8 minutes, and in that time, it has literally traveled the entire length of the United States. So it's gone 2,600 miles, right?
Yeah.
And that is just so preposterous.
Yeah.
To even, think that you could see an object, traversing the sky without any angular light, angular size change, without any brightness change, right? So you don't ever see anything like that. So the inverse square law of light is moot. The inverse law of angular size is moot. And yet the only thing is oddly enough, even though I can see it for 6 to 8 minutes or over the entire width of the United States, you would think that lots of other people would be able to too, all over the United States. But for some reason, it's only in specific zones, right, that you can see it, which tells you what? Well, it's obviously very close.
Really low.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but I forgot even how we got onto that.
Well, in a side note of this very area, have you guys noticed this last week, all the stories about them killing off the Google Loon project after a year plus of it?
No.
Oh, really?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
just
that's kind of
wasn't.
interesting, since we've continually found the balloons littering the plane with little satellite-like objects dangling from them. I wonder what their go-to is now. Is it just a different technology they don't want us to know about, or have they figured out how to
Yeah,
make their
Starlink.
drone stay up forever? Or
Well, I think it's because now they have a lot of the LTE towers in Africa. So these places where they were putting them, now the towers are being put up there, so they don't really need the Google Loon anymore.
man, there is the helium shortage, which they say is a real thing. I mean, I'm serious. Like Rob said when he was like tanking that and trucking it, that it was an issue. They were like having issues with it back then, and that's been what, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, when we first started talking about NASA using up all the helium.
At least 2 years ago.
Yeah, so that could be part of it. Maybe they're just reserving the helium for NASA's use, and you guys at Google don't get any. I don't know.
But we
It makes you
do.
wonder if they can reclaim it, the helium, because it would all go up. I would think that all the helium and the hydrogen would
Scrape
be
it off
up.
the dome.
Exactly. That's exactly what
But
I would think.
almost right.
Yeah.
Possibly as some sort of liquid or some sort of like snow, helium snow.
Condensate, yeah.
But we think there is something physical up there travelling and giving off radio waves, yeah, or no?
Are you talking about that's purporting to be the ISS?
Yeah.
I think it's a U2. I think it's a U2 that's got a super bright LED light on the bottom side of the wings.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be manned, does it, really? I mean, this
Nope,
thing
it
could be 80, 120,000 feet up there. It doesn't.
Yeah, and it never matches its video feed, ever.
And I mean,
No.
you guys have seen different people with their video of it passing over, and there's some different things I've seen anyway. There's those that when you do the close-up, they almost look holographic. You know the ones I'm talking about, that you can almost see through the thing. It's crazy. So what do you
Well,
think is really
Jaron photographed it, didn't he?
Yeah,
Going in
I
front
was
of
thinking
the
that, but
sun
I
and the
didn't say,
moon.
well, 'cause
I'll
it's
tell you what I
so
think
long
that
ago.
is, Walt. I mean, it's a technology. They're not even hiding that technology from us. It's the exact same technology that the astronomers are using to light up the so-called sodium layer, right? The sodium layer, which occurs at where? 62 miles or 100 kilometers, right?
Funny
Which
that.
happens to be right there where, we're speculating the dome probably is, right? Because that's where the sprites and elves all top out, they discharge up, everything seems to be going right there. So it seems to me that if they can make a hologram. In fact, I just saw one the other day. They have these little laser projector shows now that are absolutely amazing. You can project them up to 3,000 meters, right? So that's like, or no, is it 3,000 meters or 1,000 meters? Anyway, it's a long ass ways, right? It's around a half a mile, but for $1,000 you get this little projector, right? And you can draw pictures, and it will project it up on the side of a building, right?
Just
And
light form.
yeah, just all in light.
Where you
So
scan it, you scan the terrain first, and then you can take it and model basically and put all. It's a light show, but it conforms to the shape of of its
He
surroundings.
did that on the, what building was it? One
I
of the,
keep seeing an ad for it for the
I
last.
see it on
4 days.
Facebook.
Yeah,
but they did it like on one of
Yeah.
the buildings. That's one of the like ritual buildings back, and it had all kind of crazy symbology being
Right.
projected. On
Or
the
or
building.
look what they did to the Seattle Tower.
Oh,
The-
that crazy shit during the
yeah,
New
exactly.
Year's,
It's
yeah,
that
that
type
was
of technology.
madness.
So what's happening is this isn't even a secret. So what the astronomers do is they hit the sodium layer at 62 miles with a laser, a 40-watt laser, and then they are able to get a star, a low magnitude star, to sustain long enough that they can calibrate it to basically take out the atmospheric noise distortion, right? So, and it literally lights up like a star. So to me, it's a no-brainer. What they're
Is that those
doing.
things I used to be able to trace on one of the early like apps I had to look at the sky, like to look at constellations and things, and it would tell you when satellites were passing over, and it would be these, what they call them, sodium flares.
It might be, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
But
They
yeah,
make
but
the
you could literally,
artificial-
they would tell you it's going to come over and you'll see this in about 20 minutes, and boom, there would be this weird, like, it's not a satellite, it's not a star. What the fuck am I looking at? So that might be that. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And then that app went away, and none of the other ones ever had that again.
Yeah,
Right.
they create a low-level star, and they sort of white balance off it so that the pictures they take of the sky.
The rest of the stuff works.
Yeah,
different, right?
that's
like
how it works, isn't it, Bob?
Like doing your light meter before
Yeah,
you start
yeah.
video. So, right. That's
So
great.
there it is. That's exactly what it is. It could be a projection that ISS could be, even though I still think because if it was truly on
There's
the
a
sodium
physical
level,
component somewhere. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I
where are
think-
the radio waves coming from then? There
Right,
has to
right. That's what I'm
be.
saying. I think it's a combo plate. We're getting the holograms. We're getting the refurb U2 plane. We're getting the whole 9 yards. We're getting all of it. So everybody can say, "Oh, I saw it. You're crazy, flat earther." I
Yeah.
saw it. So
but so you have a combination of things, and the reason, like I said, if it was truly one of those things that we're seeing at 62 miles, then there would be a lot broader actual field of view area for it, from the ground. But like I said, I'm supposedly seeing it the entire width of the country, 2,600 miles. And that's absurd, because if I could see it from Denver for that whole time, then why couldn't the rest of the country? And of course, like
Yeah.
I said, the reason for that is because it had to be a local phenomenon. But if it was something that was truly that high up, then everybody would be seeing it at the same time, but they don't.
And this guy in England, he was in northern England, and he was still receiving image data or whatever when it was halfway across Europe, and it was like, it was literally 1,500 miles away. It must have been.
Yeah. Well, so they say.
Well, so they say, yeah. Well,
Like I said, when it doesn't change angular size, that's bullshit.
So, I mean, let's say it wasn't a physical object. It wouldn't be difficult for them to transmit on aerials across that trajectory, land-based aerials across that trajectory, to anyone that is poking their Yagi up in the sky at a light that's moving, for them to receive these image files.
Well, what were
would
the
they?
images of anyway? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, one of them was a satellite from space, but they were stock images. The other one was a bunch, like 3 people. I'll bring it up, but they were just stock images. They weren't live images or anything like that. They were just, like your logo or whatever.
So
It
they
was
could have literally been transmitted from anywhere.
anywhere. Yeah, that's what
Yes.
I was wondering.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Because HF would definitely work the best, probably in that particular arena. But yeah, it could literally be transmitted from anywhere. And not only that, you could also have it relayed, right? One station to a next, so it would work kind of like a cellular network.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. So it would go from one, and then it would transfer to another. That's when they sort of start losing signal, and then they, turn their Yagi to the next land-based aerial antenna, and
It's just like a cell site. It's
and
exactly how a
it
cell
would
site
appear
works.
to them
So
as though it
could
was
be
moving.
almost like what they do when they're making a red laser hologram that you would hang on the wall, and then it is deep and three-dimensional, where they take two lasers and there's like a splitter and they angle and both read this thing. So maybe there's something like that, so that this is made this object out of these waves that's up there rather than a physical object. It's just being projected by their, I don't know how I'm trying to explain it. The signal you're talking about, this radio signal you're talking about, not the hologram that we visually
The
see.
slow scan TV signal.
Yeah, that thing. Maybe it's the same idea as a hologram. It's just like you say, the intersection. I don't know.
Yeah,
just
I
thinking
mean,
out loud
literally,
here.
they could, with the laser technology, you could literally project a slow scan image on the firmament itself, or the sodium layer. Let's just call
Well,
it
it's
that.
crazy what you can do in home now. That's what brought this idea to mind. You can order a kit now and make a laser just like this Alien or this Darth Vader or any of these I've had since like 20 years ago that look amazingly crazy. You can do that in home now with just a red laser and this little plate you get and little angled pieces of stuff that you put on a little setup that has the right angle, and the little beam hits a splitter, and you can put a model, a car, a little figure, whatever, and make a 3D freaking hologram in your house now. So if you can do that at home, imagine what they're projecting in the freaking sky.
Bob,
I
what
know.
were
You
you
know,
looking at the buildings? What were you showing me that projector that did
That's
at
exactly
building?
what I was talking about. There were three versions of it. The basic version was like $600 or 600 pounds, I guess. And that was just a basic projector
What's going
show.
on,
The
guys?
800-pound
KN4 MKB
version
Billy here.
gave you a few extra doodads and some additional hardware. And then the 1,000-pound version had all the bells and whistles. But basically, yeah, 3,000 1,000 meters. Gosh, was it 1,000 meters or 3,000? I think it was 1,000 meters. So that'd be about what, 3,500 feet. It had a 1,000-meter range on it, and literally that, I mean, that's a big range for a little bitty laser, and these things are available in the consumer market. And I saw it on Facebook.
The link is in our chat, Bob, and I dropped it in the chat there on YouTube as well, too. Lightform.com is where it is. You can get the different versions and catch out a little video.
Oh,
Augmented
okay.
reality.
Luck Laser is where I know they were selling it. Not Luck Laser, but Wicked Laser. Wicked Laser was where they were selling it.
They were calling it an augmented reality projector.
Okay, let me see. Let me see if I can find on Wicked Laser, because that is where I know they were selling it from there. So Wicked Lasers.
By the way, Wicked
Sodium
Lasers,
ladder.
that's for you, Lucas, because I know the last time I was going to try to get something from Wicked Lasers, they were shipping out of Australia and they were having a hard time shipping in to America. And this is when Jaron was doing the original laser test years ago. I don't think it's gotten any easier to get lasers from Australia.
Oh, so they make them here.
Yeah, the Wicked Lasers are, yeah, they have really, really cool. They have great lasers. If I was going to shop and get lasers, that's where I'd be ordering from. Except for, again, this is where I want it from. And then it's like, oh, you can't get it in America. And then the one that I wanted was that a violet one I wanted, and it was back ordered they didn't know when it was going to get back in. But again, that was years ago.
Okay, there.
Oh,
I
okay.
just put it
They
in the.
apparently have gotten more fun.
I just put it in the YouTube chat for the Wicked Lasers. The Laser Cube is what they call it, but that's the product. And like I said, $1,200 American, 1,000 years, whatever. That is unbelievable that they have this technology available, and what it will do. I don't see a demonstration on here. There's got to be a demonstration on here, but it's phenomenal. Let's see.
I'll definitely have to look into that sodium layer stuff more too.
Yeah, because that's just Google artificial stars. This is not conspiracy theory. This is technology that they're saying, and think about how stupid that is. First of all, a sodium layer at 62 miles up, really? What the hell is sustaining a sodium layer up there at 62 miles that literally will fluoresce and sustain that fluoresce for, several seconds, right? So that they can actually calibrate it to be able to take the atmospheric distortion out. It's like,
So you don't think there's a sodium layer at all?
no, I think that they're hitting the firmament. They're just saying that, I mean, why? That whole explanation just doesn't make any sense to me at all, Lucas. You read about it and tell me what you think. But to me, and especially where it's at 62 miles or 100 kilometers, and again, that's where everything seems to happen. That's where signals seem to bounce. That's where sprites and elves, the upward discharges seem to happen.
That's where the Go Fast rocket stopped.
Seem to hit exactly. Everything happens at 100 kilometers, and to me, that is no coincidence. That whatever they're hitting up there, they're able to fluoresce it with the laser.
Just
this was a while back. A guy was telling me about, he was doing an experiment with salt and things like that, and basically he created a cloud in his whole house, and he took hours for it to get out, and that was from salt. So there might be something to it. I'm not saying it's fully legitimate at all, but
Well, salt is a huge component of everything. Our bodies, our most water,
Well,
the
yeah.
most amounts of water, I guess I should say.
And if there's water up there, who's to say that it
That's
isn't
what I'm
sodium?
saying. Why wouldn't it be sodium related? That's how the bizarre pool at the bottom of the ocean, that's
right.
That
But
the guy couldn't pierce had to do with the saline of that.
But when you're
I have
literally,
said,
I was to say, but
Yeah,
you're
go.
when you're literally in space, right? At 62 miles, you are in space officially, right? What in God's green earth would a sodium layer at that specific altitude be doing there? It's like nobody even questions that. It's like, what the hell is that supposed to be about?
Well, when I had that app that was showing these sodium flares that were regularly available for me to view, and I didn't understand, I couldn't find any really information about them or what they were or anything. It was the first phone I had that would do anything advanced like that. It was like an HTC something Desire. That's how long we're talking. And it, like I said, it would show these things and I could see them, and some I couldn't. Some that it would say I was supposed to be seeing, they wouldn't be there. So I just didn't have a clue what these were supposed to be. They weren't satellites, but I couldn't find an explanation on what they were supposed to actually be. And I surely didn't understand if they were man-made, if they were a natural phenomena they were tracing. They were just designated with like the letters and numbers, kind of like they do with the stars.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it's really weird.
When I was looking at sort of the idea of the atmospheric electrolyte, I wasn't really seeing it as salt so much as hydrochloric acid and nitric acid. So depending on what the form is and how light and the way that it carries charge, that may have something to do with it.
Yeah, I just don't, obviously I don't buy that whatever is happening up there with that is what they're telling us, right? Because it's like, okay, explain to me how this works. How is it that we have all these different layers and then suddenly there is a physical sodium barrier layer of salt, essentially, right? Sodium, right? Up there. What? What?
Yeah, well, they're not going to, let try and help you along to connect any dots. That's for sure.
Oh, that's for damn sure. But, and now in the flat Earth model, I can see that every way but Sunday. But in the heliocentric model, that makes absolutely zero sense.
Oh, no, well, not, I wasn't really talking about that whatsoever. Because
we don't even bother entertaining the heliocentric model.
No, that's right. It's more about the true version of, Anyway,
I find it a lot easier now. The first couple of years of flat Earth, you had to split your mind into heliocentric model and flat Earth model, and if there is a model, and that was just mind bending. Sometimes you couldn't mix the two because it took so much concentration to try and work one out and then another one out, that now it's a lot easier. I just don't even entertain the heliocentric model anymore. It's just pointless.
Well,
Yeah, it's not really worth thinking about unless you want to, help people understand how, the differences and.
Yeah, I mean, Derek's going to come on, and
it is, really.
Derek obviously may think that the world is heliocentric, so we'd have to humour that in some way. But
that's fine. But the reason I do that, guys, is because, well, I'm a globe buster, right? So I have to look at it in the heliocentric model to say this is just stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I get that. And so this guy that's coming on, Derek, is a ball earther, essentially, yes?
Probably. I can't say for sure one way or the other, but I'm guessing probably.
Okay, well, I can deal with that. That's not a big deal. But obviously, he's going to have a completely different paradigm on propagation then. And
Well, that'll be interesting, yeah.
It'll be what the textbooks say. It'll be sporadically clouds. It'll be hops and ducting and all sorts of other mental gymnastics you have to go through to. I mean, it really saddens me that there's so many intelligent people that get into this hobby, and 60 years later they're still having to say, I don't understand this, that or the other. There's so many areas they don't understand, and I can't help thinking that it is the disability of thinking that you're living on a spinning ball, because that's the biggest disability you can have if you're talking about this sort of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Takes the whole thought process forward.
I mean,
and it confuses your brain, because then you have to sit there and try and logically put these concepts right into something that makes sense, and it just doesn't.
But I was talking about my mate, on QRP on low wattage, getting Australia, and him having to map out the routes of where, that it bounced in the English Channel, then it bounced in the Mediterranean, then it bounced in the Indian Ocean, and then and that's clearly how it did it. It must have, I've drawn a line on the ball, and this is where it bounced. And it's just like, but isn't it so much easier to just think that it went straight there and straight back, or it bounced off a layer above us? It can't be bouncing off the sea. I mean,
exactly. Well, and that's the whole thing, John, right there. The thing that after I became a flat earther and I started thinking about skip, right? Or and it occurred to me, I'm sitting there going, well, no, wait a minute. Why, when all EM radiation, all electrical sources, all of them want to return to what? Earth ground, right? Well, then why would they bounce off of it?
Yeah.
It's like that makes no sense.
And I mean, look at any stretch of sea, unless it's a mirror flat surface, it's just going to scatter, and you're going to get noise in return. To think that it goes 12,000 miles round a ball to Australia and comes back to you. I mean, even in that split second that it's done that, you've moved, a dozen miles or so from the. I mean, it's just
right. Now, the thing that really, got me thinking about QRP when I discovered the operators that were moving along the coast, and how coincidentally those locations that they were moving to corresponded with very specific ley lines.
Yeah, you're
right?
saying
Energetic grid lines. Now that to me all of a sudden said, okay, so now then I can see these signals actually being ducted, right? because there's a natural energetic grid network
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Hey,
And
Bob,
so-
I'm going to. Oh, are you still? When you finish that thought, I want to take you back.
Yeah, I
to
don't
the
want to take you off that
fluorescence one.
thought either, but I don't want to. I'm gonna have to bookmark mine because I'll lose it again.
I have a really good one too.
Okay,
I've
go
got one,
for
I've
it.
been holding it.
I'll pause. Go for it.
Well,
you wanna go
the thing
first?
that- you go, Cammy.
Okay, mine was just on the fluorescence. While you were talking about it, I was like putting in fluorescence and sodium, seeing if I'd get any hits on that working with you, Lucas and Bob. And when I pulled up the scholarly articles, I'm getting hit left and right with articles. Time resolved fluorescent properties of quenched fluorescing sodium, including self-quenching and collisional quenching, amplified fluorescence quenching in high ionic strength media. I'm getting left and right on there. They're studying exactly how it is working with and doing it off of fluorescence
Right,
quenching. Of,
but-
yeah,
And I'm not disputing. I am not disputing that you can fluoresce sodium.
no. I'm
with the
saying
laser.
that
What I'm disputing is the fact that the sodium is even up there in the first place.
exactly. No, I'm saying it works. This works with flat Earth, not with their model, but this is a flat Earth working. No, I'm talking entirely from a flat Earth that works. If they had their layer up there the way they have it in there, how are we seeing the stars through the layer? If the stars aren't created with the sodium, it should be. They're making their sodium transparent on their
I know it makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense, but it does on the flat Earth model. If you had, like, again, if that was one of the components of the firmament and how they were manipulating it, they'd want localized science and a lot of research in an area that they could scale and throw in a different direction. So usually if you're doing things they're going to find a different way to get their information that the scientists are working on a different problem. But there's a lot of information about sodium in the fluorescent, a lot of scholarly people working on it.
Yep, I'm with you. So
Yeah, and I was more pointing out like it's not necessarily sodium as you would the salt as such. It's in a different
Correct,
form.
in a different
sense.
form, yes.
And so so the things that I was talking
Right,
about with the nitric acid and the hydrochloric acid, they're both electrolytic, so they're acting as electrolytic medium, same as the oceans, the salty waters in the ocean, but they're much finer. So that's more what I was pointing out, rather than just a layer of
Sodium
powdered salt or
sulfate, is
something.
that a salt?
Beg your pardon?
They're seeming to work a lot with sodium diacetyl sulfate, which sounds like a salt to me, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, your hydrochloric acid is the salt, sulfur, and your hydrogens. So
it's a sulfate. Okay.
so it's salt, and the sulfur is the critical thing that is a part of both the nitric acid and the hydrochloric acid.
Sodium is an element, isn't it?
Yes.
Does that make a difference? I mean, don't know.
Sodium's a compound, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a compound.
It's a
Well, that's
compound.
what they tell us anyway, and they use electrolysis to actually derive the
NaCl.
sodium.
Oh, it is a chemical element
Sodium
by
metal.
itself. Yeah, Na as a chemical, and then in compound. Yeah. The
Yeah.
free metal does not occur in nature. It must be prepared from compounds. Okay.
Yeah, and they usually do it through electrolysis, and that's a little bit funny too, because when you're actually doing that, you've got other elements within it, so it's
Right.
it's a little bit more complicated that they're actually manufacturing it in a sense, that type of sodium metal, and then it's highly reactive with water and things like that as well.
Right. They're saying it, highly reactive. It's only stable isotope. Free metal does not occur in nature and must be prepared from compounds. So the chemical element, we have to prepare it from compounds. It's not stable enough. They're saying for nature. So it's how we, when we determine the elements by again the arrangement on the chart thing. But it's an interesting one. It's not a standalone.
No, and I'd say the further up you go, you're under different pressures as well. So you're actually at a a very low pressure. So that's working on the gases in that way as well. And I would suggest there is an electrolyte there. So, there's the ability for um, the movement of electricity through a medium. And that would be, closer to what people term as the ether, because electricity is all around us. It's just, the differentials that really make the difference.
Right, it's everywhere all of the time, and when it's highly concentrated, we see it as lightning. But yeah,
Oh, I like that.
fabulous. Walt, we stopped your thought
No,
too, and I
you're
don't
good.
want
I've held
to.
on to it. I've held on to it, but I'm like, I like that, the idea with the lightning you just added. Okay, well, I've dug in my memory banks, personal ones, and I'm just failing at trying to recall who it was. But someone a few years ago had taken some photographs straight up into the sky and it captured a grid work.
Wide Awake.
Okay, thank you.
It was Wide Awake who did
Trying
it.
so hard to find that in my mind. I could. Okay, so add that to this. And then don't I remember, and I know it was based on heliocentric crowd, but like an Australian teenager, maybe a young girl discovering something up there like plasma tubes. This has been like probably right at the beginning of me looking into all this stuff back like probably 2000.
Yeah, John the Morgue
Yeah, I
talked
remember
about her.
So I know again that was all tied to the helio model, but throwing that into the mix with like this idea of the accumulation resulting in the lightning. So would there be maybe like literal flows of? I don't know. I don't know enough. I haven't looked into the plasma tube since then because then flat Earth broke everything. So
What Wide Awake
Whenever you
captured.
have,
Oh, I was gonna say what
I was
Wide
just
Awake
gonna
captured. We both. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Nah, you go.
y'all are great. All right, go Cammy.
Okay, real quick one, because I looked at the Wide Awake picture that had the crosshatch and it made the quad in the center, taken at the North Pole. What I
That's
got
the
a
one.
total hit on that is if you look at that magnetically, and then if you take the quadrupole and then make crosshatch. In other words, if you take the polarity of a quadrupole in the center of the map and you assign, which you would have to, where it switches over, switch the polarity on each one of the quadrupoles, which that's again why you have the quadrupole, your polarity switches. That the crosshatch you see, I believe, will lock onto the checkerboard on the Mason board perfectly. When you do the magnetic pattern, it creates a ceiling and a floor that makes that pattern, that crosshatch polarity pattern, and that's the crosshatching of the polarity, that little checkerboard. And you can duplicate that with magnets and the Polaroid filters. Looking at it, that's exactly what you see is like what he saw in the sky. And if you look at the components of our sky, what we even acknowledge are up there, we have something called a heliospheric current sheet that works like a rotating Polaroid filter, is how they explain it to us. They say we have this rotating, that polarizes light in this. But if you look at that spinning and over where we are here, that's exactly what you would expect to get, is that magnetic pattern. And that's on the flat Earth. I don't know how they explain on their map. I'm still waiting on the globe, us having quadrupole at the North Pole instead of, because they say we have a dipole running like a magnet running through the Earth on the axis. But the pattern that you look at magnetically, that the pilots fly by and that we look at reality and recognize the ferromagnetic pattern, it's not a dipole, it's a quadrupole. And if you extend the bottom of the map, you would have two dipoles on the edges for the flat Earth model. But again, the globe, it doesn't match. I don't even know where to begin with that, because it doesn't match with what they say is going on. But again, on a flat Earth, you can actually take magnets and line up poles and recreate the magnetic patterns. And if you do that, you get that crosshatch pattern.
Did you ever get video of that? Were you able to get that off of the what you call it, the Ferrocell?
Ferrocell. I thought they did, didn't you?
Well,
I know it was dimly lit. So
really
I don't know if they
dim,
ever
right? That's what
captured
I
it.
remember. It was really dim, but they made it happen. I thought maybe.
Yeah, we got the polarity pattern. I don't know if we threw in the crosshatched on it, but that's an easy one. That's you get that pattern. You see it. I mean, you should be able to visualize it. That is the crosshatch magnetic pattern that you get. And then again, the other lock bit, I don't know if it goes or not, but it seems to be that when you do it with match it up on different scales, it matches up that you do look like you have a black and white checkerboard top and bottom of your magnetic pattern. If you made black and white the shadow and the light. In other words, it's in light, it's not in color.
Oh, maybe that's where they get their black and white checkerboard.
Right. That's
I'm sure it is.
I had shared that
That's what I
story
think it
with you
is, because again, your
guys.
two pillars will create how they always show
the
two
pillars.
pillars, and
Okay.
the two pillars create the stairway. Well, if you take two dipoles and you line them up, you actually create a quadrupole in the middle, which you would call the stairway. And the stairway creates the checkerboard pattern, top and bottom, the ceiling and the floor. It's just what happens when you look at what happens to light when you line up the magnets. So, I mean,
Right,
my
like the
opinion
polarity
of
of
my
the
opinion
lens things.
of the whole like Masonic tracing board and everything is I think it's a straight out informational guide to you take the two pillars to create the stairway in the middle. If you align them correctly, if you align the two pillars correctly, your stairway of pillars, your Polaroid filters, it creates a top and a bottom, a ceiling, a room. In other words, it locks magnetically. It creates planes at the top and the bottom. It's the different components on the things you have a scale which you draw at scale using frequency gamut starting with base G. I think it's an informational. I think it's their way of putting the information out there on what the realm, the layout is, the layout on the realm. It's all on the cards. It's the same information in the tarot cards on the major arcana. It's all, if you look at the high priestess between the two pillars, and it's the same information everywhere.
And I took that sort of Masonic drawing board, a different way, but I think there's a crossover somewhere. We probably just haven't figured out exactly how, but
It's probably
again,
multi-dimensional too. I mean, just again, these meanings just like if you take and you
Yeah.
speak into an oscilloscope, it makes the lettering. Things are multi-contextual. Just because it works perfectly magnetically doesn't mean that it's not the battery answer and that you can look at it a whole different way and have the whole
Yeah.
answer to your problem. These people or these, it's smarter than we are. It's simpler
Yeah.
and smarter.
Well, that's what no, I wasn't disagreeing with what you were saying whatsoever, because I think when you look at when you're getting down to fundamentals in nature, they're fractal, and so these things can be applied and reapplied everywhere.
Exactly.
So, and the way I approached the Masonic sort of drawing board, was more secondarily after doing other research. But I seen the black and white squares as the two different salts, so your sodium, potassium, because they're both cubic in nature as well, but they have they work on opposite polarities. And then as you have the sun and the moon, and the connection between them was this the energy between the two, as well as the idea of the Mercury. So again, that relates to the caduceus with the two wings and the two serpents around that central pole. And if you look into the idea of Mercury, not just as a metal, but as the mythology of him, well, basically where it actually leads is basically the center point of a circle, so a monad. And so again, it's showing that that central point would be the Mount Meru, or the capstone in the center of the flat plane. And so that would be your magnetic pole as well. And interesting, they call it in Chinese, and that it's called the 5-element mountain. And there's a huge amount of cosmology related to this magnetic pole, and its sort of reflection, if you like, is Polaris. So sort of we're both tying the same sort of concepts together, just sort of we haven't quite got them linked up yet.
I agree, and it is. And even they could both, I don't know, it all intertwines. When we find the simplest point of intersection, I think is where we find the truth, because it's beautiful. I don't know, you did see that we actually took two pillars, and when we took two pillar magnets and arranged them and lined them up, if you looked at the ferromagnetic pattern, we were able to match the tidal pattern and the magnetic pattern on the map pretty darn close, just by playing a little bit with a couple of magnets in a ferrous cell. It was interesting. It created that phantom pole in the center. So that magnetic mountain that you're talking about, which again, if you're going to establish the Earth or stabilize it, you would build magnetic mountains and rent it there, which makes sense on your magical place, your mountain that you're talking about. But yeah, it's like a vortex. It's a pole created by proximity by the other poles.
Yeah, that's cool. Really
Uh-huh.
cool. Yep, that makes sense. Because Mercury, or that idea of that central pillar, or that is the two poles coming together, and that's that balance point.
That balance
So
point in the
very,
middle.
very interesting.
It's
Yep.
interesting. I haven't followed this one, and I think there's some resistance, but just even I don't know how to tie it, but like the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, when they do the Holy Ghost and always the Holy Spirit and things, you wonder if the Holy Spirit or the ghost thing would be your middle pole again, because it's not really there. It's created, it's an etheric pole. It's created by the other poles. It's a ghost pole. As opposed to pillars, you have your magnets in the center, maybe a mountain, but you don't have your full pillar. Your two pillars are on the edges, and it creates a third pillar, or it's more of a stairway than a pillar. It's a vortex. It's a quadrupole. It has all of the magic of when we do the Helmholtz coils, or that the anti-Helmholtz, and do those, which again turn into, what do we use them for? We use them as field stabilizers, as equalizers and extenders.
And this is the same concept that pervades all mythologies as well, of the Trinity. So you have the positive and negative, and the middle point, that balance point, is the positive and negative, that neutral point in the center. So, and that relates back to all these different religions as well. And a lot of the time, I spoke about this in a previous show as well, where the symbology actually shows that the say the moon is masculine, or that negative pole is masculine, and the positive pole is feminine. And it wasn't something, because it goes against sort of how most people actually think about it, and how I actually thought about it previously as well. But it's just where the information led. I had a lot of resistance to that concept as when I was first getting into it. But so it just shows that it's sort of describing the nature of the action, rather than exactly genders, in a sense.
We were talking about that earlier a little bit, just in the possibilities, and then just again how it's always interesting that you should always look at what they're doing and take a mirror to it, because a lot of the times that is the answers. That's a classic, again, when teaching down, or passing down information, and not the way they do it. One of the things they do, again, you do it in riddles and that, and you do things like you do the mirror images. It's classic.
And the other thing
you can't ever rule it out. I think it's easier for me sometimes, because I'm so dyslexic. Directionally, things run left and right, and so it's like I can't help but look at things in both directions, because it's which one am I really looking at?
Yeah, the other thing they do, if they're not sort of inverting it, they're really making what would be a really positive concept and making it quite negative. So,
yes,
especially when you're dealing with this idea of Mercury, people will automatically think about, say, maybe the vaccines and poison and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
But there's also the concept that goes along with it, is the hermaphrodite concept, which is the male and female joined together. And again, that's just describing two polarities coming together, and that connection, that bridge between them.
Right.
Rather than this sort of what we have today, where they're sort of making it like it's you got that whole transgender, and it's a very negative concept rather than a higher way of actually thinking about nature and how it operates. So that they're again sort of bastardizing the concepts around this and making people think negative about it, and then therefore they sort of shut off to the information completely.
I agree. I think you're spot on with that. Again, they poison the wells, or again, they turned. We know they did it with flat Earth by again, flat Earth. Nothing was stupider than flat Earth, and nothing was smarter than a rocket scientist. Watch for this information, and I think you're probably spot on with the transgenders, and that they've really made it a poison area, and just like they really poisoned through all of the research over the years and things like connecting the lizard people with the Rh negatives and doing that. I don't think Rh negative has anything to do with lizard people, but I think that they poison. Again, they make it like that. So when you look into it, again, a lot of people will just as soon as they think of like even looking at bloodlines, they'll go to oh, that's ridiculous, this and that, or you'll again, it's distraction. It's ways to distraction poison the well. They made the swastika, which is our sky sign. They poisoned the well. Don't look at the sky, and make this connection because this connection is dirty. I think again, you're really spot on that.
And they did the same thing with our history as well. I mean, if you look at the buildings and the architecture, well, obviously that's done with a high amount of intelligence and, pre-thought and understanding of geometry and all these other different arts.
Yeah, the Neanderthals.
Yeah, and made us so we're, instead of coming, we're the modern society, we're, right up there. No one else has achieved what we've achieved and things like that. I mean, it's complete rubbish. I mean, have a look at our society. It seems to be falling apart at the seams.
It's laughable, really, isn't it? I'm reading the Flashman papers, and he's describing how they head off west in 1849. And they're literally carts, horses, oxen, all the rest of it. And yet you've got these world fairs, these world exhibitions and stuff happening around the same sort of time, where they have just exquisite architecture that they claim they put up in months. Have you seen the John Levy stuff with these exhibitions and things? I mean, it's just...
John Levy, Autodidactic, Studio 1851. I may be getting it wrong.
Yeah, Stuffed Beagle. He's been doing some good stuff as well.
Lots of great stuff happening with this right now. I tried to bring this up earlier and I was having share problems. I don't know if you guys have looked into Alex Gray's artwork at length, but he comes at it from a very spiritual, alchemical point of view. When y'all were talking about some of the things, this idea of this image, the net of being, kept coming to mind, and thinking of the, just the matrix of this world, the things people see when they are in altered states, the grid work, the patterns, the whatever.
His mind
it's off 10,000 days. Yeah.
His mind operates in an amazing way, Alex Gray. I got a chance to meet him about 3 years ago, something like that. He and his wife were at this event in Denver that I attended, and he had a bunch of his artwork there, and I got a chance to talk to him for a while. And it's like, wow, that guy, talk about somebody that is outside the box.
Oh yeah, that's a different frequency dude for sure.
Yeah, buddy.
Sure. Our buddy Jonathan has actually done some work with his team and with Alex, and he may be able to make something happen one day. You never know.
Been bantied about.
Of course, that was before he got busy in Florida, so that went out the window. That dude's been like really getting into some deep places since he's been in Florida.
Yep. Yeah, I listened to that show a little bit from this morning with Jonathan on.
Yeah, there you go. Just pick something and you'll get lost for days. Truly. He's got some amazing work.
Very interesting. So
Nothing to see here, folks.
He does all the tool stuff, doesn't he? Is
He
that
does.
right?
He
'Cause
got
that-
involved with them way back in, like, I think it was on the lateral. No, maybe it was even on. Did he have?
Yeah,
artwork?
Bilateralis, I reckon.
I think it might have been. I don't think he had anything on Anima. I think that was other artists that did all that artwork. Yeah, it had to have been that Lateralis. Oh yeah, that was the one with the almost like the biology, the Grey's Anatomy
Yep,
layering.
that's
that
right.
was
It had a-
mind blowing. Did you find God in that artwork, by the way? Just wondering. Dig around and see if you can find it one day. Pull out your old CD. It's there. I found it one day in a little altered state, and I was like, "What? Are you kidding? That's where he hid that? That is amazing. It's great." Yeah,
Okay.
little
I'll have to
secret
pull it
Easter egg
out
for
again. But
everybody.
that was,
yeah,
and then they had 10,000 Days, and that was like a
yeah.
fold out with
freaking
these glasses. And,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
got
and then
it
you could.
sitting on the shelf behind me. Every now and again, I'll pull it out and just enjoy it. Yep.
Yeah, that was great. And so that image that we saw before basically became 3-dimensional, and it looks amazing.
crazy. And you know what? I was just thinking it was actually 6 years ago that I met Alex Gray. God, time really flies.
And it's been like really crazy these last little years we've all had together. It seems
Yep.
like it's been forever, and yet it seems like we just got started. And the things we've done, it's like, have we really done all this? This is crazy.
Yeah, Bob, I was going to tell you, and then I decided to keep my mouth shut and not make you feel old, but I think it's been closer to at least 10 years, 10 or 11 years, because of the fact that I think I stayed home and babysat.
You did, and Austin and I went. Austin and I went
Right,
to that
but think
police.
about that. If Jaron would have been even 11 or 12, I probably would have, I may have even, well, I don't know. What time did I start leaving them at home?
I don't know.
Like for an evening alone, but if I
It was a
stayed
long
home,
time ago.
but I just know that it's like, I remember wanting to go to that. I stay home and babysat, but my baby's like a lot taller than me now, not just a little taller, but yeah, my son's a bit taller than me right now. And I haven't had to babysit him, stay home and babysit in the last 4 years. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So when you said 3 or 4 years, it's like, I don't think so.
Yeah, no doubt. I know. You know, ever since I got into flat Earth, everything has just been kind of a blur. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, time anyway, being an adult and having accelerated. That's why I feel so sorry. I don't know if it's like, we all know it's like feeling accelerated in general, but like for kids again, when time used to go so slow when you were a kid, is it like dragging on even more with the COVID, or what would it like? How, I can't imagine teenage time and it not rushing through on something like this.
My son's got
Because
bigger
again-
feet than me now.
My son's got bigger feet than me too.
But I've got big feet, and that's just. I mean, they were toddlers when Flat Earth came out. I'm sure they were, but oh my word!
He doesn't like to hear to do that on there, but on an ODD video and a journalism video or whatever, if you guys remember, there was a voice on some of these in several of the videos that were major ones that said like, Siri, is the Earth a globe? That was my son's voice before his voice changed. It was so sweet. Asking and had Siri answer, of course.
Yeah,
His program Siri to say, or not a globe, but of course not. Of course not silly. It's obviously flat. Can't you look at it and see?
Yeah, I completely forgot what I was going to say. Where's your friend, Josh?
He said he was coming. I'm expecting him at any minute. I got one eye on the phone, waiting for him to text to find out any information. You guys will be the next to know.
Interesting. Does he have any specific areas he wants to cover, or just talk about it in general, or?
I'm not even sure. I'm just kind of curious to see where the conversation is going to go.
Oh, okay.
He's a real personable guy. He's a real nice guy.
Most hams are. That's one thing about hams is we all, have kind of the gift of gab. And, before I was a ham, I did a lot of CB work. not work, but breaker 19, this here's rubber duck type stuff, and
Ourselves a con.
Yes, this is
got
Rubber Duck.
ourselves
Come
a
on back
convoy.
there, breaker one now. 10 4, 10 4.
Cotton picking chicken choker.
My handle was Scooby Doo back in the 80s on CB.
Scooby Doo. I was the cliff dweller. They lived up on Green Mountain. That's crazy.
That is,
Chicken
man.
Joker.
Yeah, chicken choker, and he cotton picking chicken choker. Yeah, you got to say one thing about the Sea Beers. They definitely had some colorful lingo back then. I love some of the things they came up with, and of course, C.W. McCall, the guy that did that Convoy song, didn't hurt matters. he was pretty creative himself.
He was.
Yep.
So has
I love
anyone
that song.
considered getting themselves a license, an amateur radio license, as we say in the UK? Since we've been banging on about it.
Someone has. I bet you somebody has.
Because I was watching. Well, I'm talking about someone on the panel, because I was looking at a video today of them doing email over HF as well. It's not a new thing, is it, Bob?
No, all you have to do is use like frequency shift keying or some other modulation. It's not going to be overly fast, but email generally, as long as it's not HTML or rich text or anything like that, if it's just plain text, it'll work just fine.
And they've got
You're
things
not
like
typing it out in Morse code, are you?
you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
But-
still plenty of people doing that. Morse code malarkey. I'd love to get into that, but they've got bulletin boards and all sorts of stuff that you can operate and use over radio waves with reasonably affordable kit. Is that right, Bob?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
So literally, if they pulled the plug on the internet, this would still work.
Well, they were even saying that, was it David Wilcock was, I was watching his, one of his feeds right around the election time, and he was saying, well, when they cut communications, everybody's going to be using these, and he gave out like ham radio, a couple of Yaesu rigs, 440 and 2 meters, and he goes, no, you're supposed to have a license for this, but if the internet's down, probably nobody's going to care about licenses, and that's probably true. Nobody's going to give a crap about not having a license, but
Well, you only need a license to transmit, though. You don't need a license to listen.
no, you don't need a license to listen, but yeah, people are going to transmit anyway.
Oh, of course.
And it would be difficult for them to get caught. And I doubt many of the hams today even have the experience or even the know-how to set up a DF loop, a directional finding loop, and track somebody down.
Well, I imagine quite a few of them do, but good luck to them. And why would they bother in times that we're living in now? I mean,
Exactly.
these are serious threats of pulling the internet down. I mean, it has happened in areas, and you'd know this, Bob. It's not a difficult thing to do, is it? I mean, first of all, they just need to kill the DNS servers, and most people will be stuffed. Because how many people know how to get to a website via IP address?
Exactly. Or how to do a manual lookup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that's not something that most people know. So that alone, just only validate specific DNS servers, and then you could even set them up so they'd have to be authenticated to make it go. Otherwise, everybody would be running on the IP addresses.
I mean, anyone that thinks they can just that they can't take the internet down as we know it. I mean, obviously there are people out there, your son included, that would know that the internet, as long as you do have a working phone line and servers either end or peer-to-peer or whatever, the internet still lives. But to most people, they could literally take the internet down at the push of a button. Easily.
Yeah, the GUI accomplished that. And
Mhm.
they could. I have a question for those dumb people that, again, I would be in the group if I didn't live with Bob, and so I don't learn the skills because I have a Bob. And so that was the answer to your question about like anybody else getting the ham licenses. But from a novice standpoint, I know that in the news So let's say the internet goes down and you get on the ham radio and you don't have the license or whatever. I know from the news that they seem to be on a mission to get rid of the repeater stations all around.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
some
I'm
reason, they
hearing
need
that
to
in
be taking all the
California.
repeaters in California and other places that they're taking down the repeater stations.
They're
What
calling them
does that-
fire risks.
Okay, yeah, they're coming up with an excuse, to ban the black licorice and take down the repeater stations. And I find that interesting that they are targeting again a repeater station all of a sudden is a fire risk. It's crazy, but what does that do, or what effect does that have? Is that what you're talking about on being able to find somebody because they take the repeaters out, or what? What does that mean?
That's a huge handicap, absolutely. Bob, I'll let you answer that.
Well, yeah. I mean, you take down the repeater stations, you cut down the coverage area of 2 meters. Also, they have conversions that go from 2 meters up into the 450 band and even into the HF band. I mean, the ham radio network is really quite extensive, and it was originally designed that way. The amateur radio service was meant to be kind of like an emergency backup service, right? And that was one of its original purposes, and that's still theoretically one of its purposes today. So obviously, if they're going to disable the internet, then they need to take out all the other backup sources as well, of which, of course, amateur radio is one of them.
Yeah, but haven't they, in a way, just by people not understanding how it works, and even on the new licenses, them not understanding the bandwidth? Wasn't that the way? Yeah, I mean, they used to train you that you understood what it worked, but now you take away the friendly graphic user interface. Most people are gone unless you know the internal workings. It's the same problem that you just got to with the internet.
I mean, the good thing is, sorry to interrupt, is that anyone can set up a repeater on their property, powered however they want it. The problem is that the good place to have repeaters is usually government run land.
The highland.
The highland, or antennas, TV antennas, and they rely on good faith from those companies that they're allowed to install a repeater on, say, the top of a hospital or something on top of a hill. But the good thing is that anyone can set up a repeater no matter where you are, on the top of your tree, on the top of your house, or whatever. And the better news is that since lockdown, the number of amateur radio operators, licensed or otherwise, has gone through the roof. Literally, the the Radio Society of Great Britain is inundated, absolutely inundated with people applying for their licenses, getting their licenses. My mate has recently, he was an air steward, so that job went well. And he literally walked out of that job with a huge pay packet and straight into a amateur radio shop job in the UK, where he's now locked down working from home. But this guy has said literally his trade went threefold overnight when this nonsense came in. So that's the good news, is that people are getting back into this, and you can't stop it. Although I have heard that in wartime it's not uncommon for the Stasi to come round everyone who has a ham radio license and confiscate their kit or take it over or whatever. And that's the bad thing about it, is that anyone can get on it, anyone can use it as a pirate, etc. But in the UK, obviously, we have to register with Ofcom, and in the US you have to register with the FCC or whatever, and they know everything about you. So as soon as you say your call sign, you might as well, stick your thumbprint on their scanners. But there are ways around it. Sorry, I waffled on for ages there, didn't I?
Yeah, no worries. No, but you're right. And the other thing they've done, like I said, that's really amazed me is I've noticed over the years they've really dumbed it down as far as technical knowledge. It seems more like the examinations are centered around rules and regulations, what you can and can't do.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
Whereas when I took my original amateur extra license, which is the highest one that you can get in the United States, I was 17 years old, and I had already passed my commercial radio telephone license, the FCC engineering license for commercial radio telephone, and my ham radio amateur extra theory test was more difficult than my FCC engineering license. Now that says a lot.
yeah.
It's just remarkable, because back then, I mean, to have the extra was really prestigious, and you really had to study hard for it, and now it's like, you just study a Q&A book for a couple hours and you got it. So
And the biggest section in that book is the Ofcom regulations as to basically what you can and can't do. It's not so much, there is still the electronics and the resistors and all the formulas and everything, but a huge part of it is the regulations and knowing what you can and cannot do, which is quite restrictive.
yeah, exactly. So it's definitely gone away from the theory more into the rules and regulations, and that of course then diminishes from the technical resource pool that the hams brought to the table, which was huge because everybody, back 40 years ago, everybody that was into ham radio operators, I mean, these guys were true geeks, right? These guys were really, really technical. They're the guys that were out there in their garages like the John Searles and, with just electronics out the wazoo, making things, experimenting constantly. I mean, it was crazy, right? And that generation just seems to have really been whittled down to a very niche few now. And then those people are then, I think, recruited by the government. But it just seems like, that's what they always do. They take the best of these technical resources or these areas where people are skilled, and they dumb it down and then, basically usurp it. It just sucks.
Yeah.
So Don asked in the chat, is anyone trying to develop other means to the internet? Shouldn't we be trying to find a way, if they're talking about shutting it down? One of the things that I think if they shut it down, in my opinion, I think that they're not going to shut down the internet. They're just going to shut down like the graphic user interface to the internet. And if you wanted a way around it, you could still go to somebody's webpage and everything if you knew how to type it in as an IP address and numbers and that numerically. If you know how to get around the backbone behind, you could still get around. There's just not enough people to, and if more people, I think, would learn how to do that right there, I don't think that they would want to take down, because I think they want to leave it up for themselves. Oregon, they have another backbone, maybe because they have the other one behind it built, that they would want to take it down, or
No, what
what's
they're
your
going to
opinion?
do is they're not going to, I don't think they're going to mess around really with the DNS. So people don't understand, the routers are so sophisticated today that you can literally cut off any segment of any network anywhere at any time, redirect traffic, cut it off, stop specific services from it. And all of this is all built into the software for the routers themselves. They're extremely elaborate.
Yeah.
And it's all touch of a finger type of stuff. So yeah, the government can simultaneously keep all their facilities online while cutting the primary feeds into like Xfinity, Comcast, CenturyLink, the big internet providers, whatever, right?
And they would also keep all of their corporate websites up, like Amazon, Google, eBay, Twitter, everything else. Most people wouldn't even know if the rest of the internet was turned off.
Yeah, because a lot of people are just, the only thing they care about is, Netflix, Amazon, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as searching, so-called conspiracy sites or anything like that, well, hell, they just turn those off.
I mean,
that is all too easily done.
The major problem with the internet as we know it is that it runs 99% on cables. Undersea, overland, underland, it runs on a backbone of cables. So the only way to break away from that is to and I've been saying this for quite some years, is to sort of either use wireless, which you do still have control of in your router. Correct me if I'm wrong at all, Bob, but if a group of people in your neighborhood decided to create their own network over wireless, that would be doable, and then that could connect to the next door, the next parish along's wireless network, and it could literally be almost democratically run internet, where you decide from your own access point what you want to transmit wirelessly, and other people around you who are in your network could pick all of that up just as easily. But
Well, that's interesting, John, because as a side note there in chat, when she asked the question about a side note to the internet, I said, I think we should get to know our neighbors again, which most people these days don't even know their next door neighbor,
Agreed.
let alone the guy down the street.
Agreed.
That used to be the thing.
but they know what his wireless network's
Support
called.
system was the network. I mean, the people. It was the network. It wasn't electronic. So if we combine that with getting to know the people and then getting this idea out there, like, hey, at some point this could go down, and if we have our own setup,
Yeah, well, you would have
This
to.
reminded me of some movie for some reason. Did they do this in a movie?
It's bush telegraph. That's what it is.
Yeah, in a sense, absolutely. You would have to get to know your community in order to set up these
Right.
access points, these Wi-Fi router points. But is this viable, do you think, Bob?
It is, but not without a lot of cooperation. And honestly, one of the first things they did is to cause people to distrust their neighbor.
Absolutely. That's why
I
we
mean,
don't know them anymore.
yeah, it's like, oh no, they're all crazy people, and you don't want to be talking to them. They're strangers.
Just stay inside. Warm
Stay
glow
inside.
TV will keep you all right.
Exactly. And so people not only are online, they're don't have any relationships like that anymore. Everything is done virtually. You're taught essentially not to trust other people, strangers, because they're crazy, and all these, you just never know who's going to turn out to be a serial killer. So you don't want to take that chance. And
Or carrying that disease.
yeah, exactly. So they've engineered that out of society. So now, they've got us completely dependent on the technologies, and they take that away, and so now we've lost our social skills. We don't know how to go up and have a relationship with people anymore, right? And that's one of society's biggest problems right now, is people have no respect for one another, and there is nothing but distrust. And I have to admit, it has been brilliant the way they have really run society into the ground and engineered this erosion of society.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Freaking genius, isn't it?
It is genius. And I hate to say it, but it is. It simply was. They knew every aspect of our psychology, of our sociology, everything about us, and exactly where to hit us, how to control us, how to make us think, and it's just astounding.
And it's gonna take higher genius to get us out of this rut as well, which is why I like what you said. Well, get to know your community, because that is step one. Forget about the bells and whistles and little fondle slabs they've given us to play with. Really, step one is to get out and meet your neighbours again and talk to people and start spreading humanity back into this, because they've done a fantastic job at draining it.
Yep, it's so true.
Like, in speaking of, it's genius. Yeah, it is in some ways, but it's also, they've had the data. They've had the things that we haven't had to actually, implement these things.
The data gathering.
Basically, they've had the data. They've got the money. So it's
real-time monitoring.
Yeah. So while it is, intelligent in its own right to some degree, it's not all intelligence either. It's having those other aspects at your fingertips. And if And if humanity had that same data, that same awareness of what they knew, then we would be not so susceptible to their
Well,
ploys
the
as such.
resources they've had. I mean, it's genius because they were talking about this 100 years ago, and they've made it into place. But it absolutely, they have built the networks in order to be able to, things like Tavistock and stuff, in order to be able to experiment on our species and basically know us better than we know ourselves, in order for all this crap to work. That's it, it's if we had the finance and the resources that they had, yeah, we could literally build a utopia. They've taken it the other way, obviously.
Yeah, well, they have a vested interest in keeping their control. So, they've invested in that vested interest. So they've basically, like your Tavistocks, like all those different sort of programs, they've thrown, endless amounts of money and other intelligent people, a collective of different people, and come to, conclusions that will work.
I mean, imagine the genius that we could have produced if we had their resources and their finance and everything behind us. We literally could be in flying cars that are pollution free and endless food resources, water resources.
It'd be the Jetsons.
Even better. It would be even better.
I know, Josh. Imagine our magnet orders. Oh. Yeah. Create the Jetsons, all of that.
Well, that's exactly what they do. They put the brakes on humanity, and they just keep the brake on there constantly. So anytime there is a hint that there may, be getting out from under, well, they put the pressure back down on us. So it's, there's no telling what sort of society would become, and we're probably hard to describe it really what we would become if we didn't have that that pressure of fake money, as well as the stifling of free energy, or that devices that are super efficient.
I wonder.
All the rest of it goes along with it.
I wonder now whether Earth is a pond on an ice lake, and whether they have a control pond somewhere where they just let them get on with it without any of the media propaganda, without the warmongering, without the race divide, without the money interest backstabbing. You got to wonder that if we're an experiment, whether they had a control that they didn't mess with, and how mad they are. That's probably the aliens, isn't it, that we see coming to visit
That
us.
also brings to mind that idea of how controlled are they in their little utopias. I mean, it's kind of like in They Live, the guy at the newspaper stand is buying this paper while your boy's putting on his Hoffman lenses. He's buying a paper that's got all this same propaganda that's being fed to the humans, but he's buying it for himself to take with him to read. He's not like, I don't think they're immune to it. It's, so are they as controlled at levels, and there's still tiers and tiers? I think that's part of it too.
Well, this is where, in contemplating all of these issues and seeing society go where it has gone and is going, is what prompted me into the study, being interested in and studying kind of transhumanistic type of thing. And when I say that, I mean, like, okay, so we have this existence here on this earth, and this is the way things are done. We're obviously run under this control system. They've got every aspect of our life controlled, spiritually, mentally, intellectually, all this stuff. So, but one thing that really is not discussed a lot, and not anybody seems to know a lot about, is what goes on after this place, right? And I think that's one of the most interesting studies there are out there. There's a lot of information, believe it or not, from a lot of different um, theologies and philosophies and stuff like that, where they talk about our progenitors and what's really going on and what's going on in the larger picture, if you will, of the universe. And whether it's true or not, I have to admit, it really comes together to form a very, very interesting story, right? And fabric of another reality. And it's just something that has really interested me very, very much, to the point where I think these are the times right now where all of us are thinking, what comes next, because we're not really seeing a great turnout for this world, right? So I'm trying to look at the bigger picture and try and understand what's going on there, and maybe you know adapt into something like that. So that's what it's caused me to do. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I just seem to want to be compelled to move on to the next bigger thing.
Well, this tells me that you're an old soul, Bob, because they say in the old days, great thinkers and the deep thinkers, their thoughts were what happened afterwards. And the greatest shift that's happened with our computer age, and that is now all of our great and deep thinking is not on what the big picture is, but it's completely put on to how to extend the life that we have here, how to transhuman, how to, what the next greatest drug is, the next greatest way to extend, and what you need to be on. And that's been the trick to the age we're in, is they, we're manipulated out of the great and the deep thinking the way it should have always been and has always been. And we put our supposed deep thinking again in more of a transhumanistic, how can we be here longer, instead of what is the big picture.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about whether or not I want to stay here longer so much as I want to understand the bigger picture. That's kind of where I'm going with this. And by the way, there's somebody in chat that's wanting to know if they can call in. Do you still do that? The call in numbers and stuff?
Joshua, I'm looking at you.
Give me just a couple minutes. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, I figured it would take a minute to get things lined in because, as I said, we were hoping to have Derek pop in, so we were kind of aiming at that and haven't really set up the external lines, or I didn't think we had. So,
Wow, we'll just make do, right, until he gets here.
Well, absolutely, I've had a blast, man. This has been brain opening. It reminded me what you were talking about, Bob, that need to figure out, okay, this is not quite working out. I've done all I can do with you people. So what's next? Have you ever seen that movie, The Fountain, or perhaps read that graphic novel by chance?
I have not. No.
It's got Hugh Jackman. I don't even want to spoil it. Don't anybody spoil it in chat. Just if you have a minute tonight, go find The Fountain with Hugh Jackman, and then get back with me after you watch it. I'd like to hear your impression. There's an amazing graphic novel that I believe it's based on, and I may be wrong. It may have been one that was based on this movie, and I found it later, but it was also, it kind of filled out the story a bit, because it's got some puzzling things in places that you really have to give it probably a couple of views, but it's worth it. And I think definitely it speaks to this idea of combining where we are in the technology, where we're going to be beyond that, because I just don't see us, being ghosts in the machine. And I think that's part of what we're trying to do, is get the hell out of that machine. So I don't know. It's a great movie. It really is.
I found it on Amazon here, so I'll check it out.
Now I have to share my thoughts on this. Everybody is at different parts of their journey, but where I am right now is I really view us I view the scenarios and that we're put into, and you see how could this happen, and all of the diversions, and that I see us that we're here as like children, almost in a playpen, to understand that our actions have unintended consequences and can have really big effects on things, and more so than it does just right in the minute. And I think that we're here to learn that lesson, and to make the right kind of choices. And what do we do with it? And in order to make and have the choice and to learn, you have to be put into situations to make choices. I mean, it's not always pretty. There's choices in your adversity, and how do you handle it? But I think this is more of a learning journey that that you have to, if you haven't learned, you have to kind of keep on experiencing until you learn, and that you can ascend. I believe like the Jesus method was saying that we set the perimeters of the game too hard. I'm going to call it a game and it is just unjust because I have so much more respect for it than that. But we set the perimeters very hard as far as when we wrote the commandments and things that, you guys are human and you're learning and you're children, and we put the curve, really, really hard. So if you really do atone for your sins, if you really do like understand the lessons and the harm that you cause, or the things that your actions can have consequences, you can atone.
If you really do the work,
If you really do the work and change and understand that, truly atone for your sins,
Right.
and understand what the lessons were, instead of doing it, that here you can ascend too. And then I also think that there are people here that have chose to come back at great risk, because I think once you ascend, that you make it out of this little density trap or whatever. Once you ascend and you watch, if you come back at a real risk. I would say suicide is the greatest risk, that you might not make it back out again. In other words, it doesn't guarantee you making it out again. You just were able, to do it the first time. But again, I also think you're more under almost attack with the choices, like with the dark side. It's almost a thing, but it's making it through the choices. What choice do you make? Where do you go to? And
what if this is a training ground for gods?
Exactly. For the immortals,
so you've got unlimited power, but you're a spoiled brat. That
right.
don't mix well at all. You know what I mean? So,
that's exactly what I think it is. That is exactly what it, in order for us to dwell with the immortals, in order for us to cross the river and dwell with the immortals, we had when the immortals in all the world histories, when the immortals that used to walk the earth before they closed it off, when the elves had to cross and everything, through all the mythologies in the earlier years, the immortals used to dwell with us, right? But they also, again, there were the wars, in that there was great destruction, the destruction of the physical world, and we were very destructive with it. So I think that we have to learn that before we can become immortals and have that type of be grown-ups, we have to learn that, again, what we do, it has consequences. All of our actions, all of our choices
I read a book
have
about
consequences. And sometimes they're unintended. Sometimes it's not what you mean for it to be. So you need to be adult enough to, think through what you're doing now, how will it affect others and things around you later. And that, I really do think that we're in a playpen, and again, and that eternity and immortality faces you with, think you need to learn the lessons before you can do eternal damage.
Yeah, well, this is a lot of that sort of notion is in some of the Eastern philosophies, and that
It's in
getting
all
off
of them.
of the karmic wheel.
Yeah, it's in all of the
so to
philosophies.
speak. Yeah, I sort of did agree with that for a fairly long time, and now I just not necessarily see it as getting out of this place, but rather, lifting up this place rather than trying to get out as such.
So remember when I said some people are here by choice?
What?
To help people, that would be to enjoy, and the journey, and part of it is it can be a beautiful journey.
And I think I'm just saying, what if it's tied into what's coming? What if it's tied into the time we have between one energy, whatever the fuck it is, reset, and the next? And if we don't figure it out and get where we need to be, it just basically reboots us as an entity, and we lose all that. Oh, I hear the number. I'm sorry. I'm gonna shut up.
Thanks for calling Have No Sphere. Caller, you have a question?
I'm not hearing them, Josh, if you are.
We're not hearing anything.
Nope. You may want to pay attention to the phone and not the YouTube screen, because you're going to be a bit behind.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Don't listen to YouTube.
There you are. Hello. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Really good. How are you doing?
And gals.
Can you all hear him now?
We
Yep,
can
we
hear
hear
him.
him.
We can hear him.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right.
Who are we talking to?
This is Danny. I guess my channel is D Truth.
Hey,
Used to
Danny.
be. Yeah, how's it going?
Really good.
How's everybody doing here?
Good.
Danny with the cafe, is that right?
Yeah, with the Happy Sparrow Cafe in Portland.
No.
Forgot you changed your
Guys,
damn
before.
channel name, man. I was thinking about you the other day. It's like, man, I didn't see no Danny in a long time. I completely forgot about the name change. I'm glad you caught us back up to speed. Damn it.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a lot going on. Just wanted to call in about something that was on my mind, and then all of a sudden, I've been real busy with a lot of stuff at the business and some craziness that just went down, and it was just kind of on the same subject as what y'all were talking about. So I thought maybe I could call in and ask you
Surely,
guys
man.
about it.
Thank
Yeah,
you
I'd
for
love to hear
sharing.
about some of that craziness going on up there.
Yeah, tell us all about it.
Well, the craziness is actually in Texas. I'm in Portland, but the craziness, I mean, it's funny. Yeah, the craziness is Portland up here. Yeah, with all the political stuff. But I just came back from Texas, and my wife's brother, my brother-in-law, a good friend of mine as well, he just passed away in a car accident in Houston, Texas, just last week.
Oh,
well, 2 weeks
shit.
ago on the 11th, actually.
Sorry to hear that.
And so we had to run back to Texas and, take care of that situation and stuff recently. So, yeah.
Was he young?
So we had to deal with that. And then while I was down there, I had to deal with some other stuff along with that I wanted to ask you guys about. And do you guys believe in voodoo?
I don't disbelieve in voodoo. Let me just say, I think that there's some truth there. I think, like many belief practices, they're tapping into a deeper truth that gets sort of disguised as religion and dogma.
Well, I live in New Orleans, basically, or close enough to it to say.
That's right. Walt, what's up, Walt?
What's up, my friend? How you doing, Danny?
Good,
yeah,
good.
growing up, I had basically the same exposure to it that you guys had on TV and on TV, movies. What was that great Martin Sheen movie about the voodoo and the guy and the kid? Remember that? That was a really good movie. Anyway, so I had those same things you had. Then I moved to South Louisiana and I went to New Orleans. And as oh, cool, we can go in Marie Laveau's shop. Dude, I'm getting chills just saying that name right now, truly up and down my body.
It's all over down there in New Orleans.
When you walk in that place, this feeling hits you like, get the fuck out of here now. But I held strong. I put up my shields because I wanted to see what it was all about. And they warn you all through this store, do not, at any risk to yourself, take a photograph in here. Do not. Because there's all these statues and image things and figures and stuff. And dude, I'm chilling up horribly right now because it was bad. It was bad. So that was one experience where I felt the energy.
About the picture.
And then we went to this fucking display at the art museum that had brought these type of objects from other cultures across the country. And there were certain rooms in that museum that I couldn't go in because of the bad energy these objects had in them. So yeah, I'm a pretty firm believer on there's some bad shit going on with that stuff.
That's crazy. That's crazy that you not only live down there right in the heart of it, but you've been there and you felt that yourself too.
And then we had talked about on one of the shows, it may have been when Benjamin was here, about the bodies in the ground and their energy and how here in that part of the world, they're buried above ground and all that bone energy is up above ground. And you definitely, there's places in New Orleans you just don't go after night at dark, you just don't. And then there's shops that sell herbs that we were looking for, like when we were trying to do a lot of healthy teas and stuff, we would get guided to by people in town. Oh, yeah, go over to Miss Whoever's shop. And some of those you would walk into and immediately just turn around and walk out because you knew whatever she was passing out, you didn't want part of it. It was bad stuff. You just feel the energy. Yeah, it's crazy there. You just take a trip down there.
Let me,
Rose, ask Jason.
Let me let y'all know why I ask is because my brother-in-law that just passed away, you know, he lived with my in-laws in this big old house in Houston, Texas, and he lived along with his wife, girlfriend, well, but baby's mother. Okay, so they lived there with the wife and the child, along with this brother that just passed away in the accident. You know, me being, you know, Vietnamese, the brothers, you know, my wife is Vietnamese, her brothers are Vietnamese, but her youngest brother, he married a Mexican girl. And this Mexican girl, you know, really nice girl. I mean, I've never had any issues with her. She's been kind of quiet, never really give me any issues, but she's been having issues with the family. Well, she had some kind of issue, I guess, you know, I don't know the details, but maybe she had some issue with the brother-in-law, the one that just passed away recently. Well, you know, we were down there on like a couple of days right after the accident, you know, taking care of business and everything. And then about a week later, one of the kids, they pointed out with the youngest, the brother, that there was this doll in the house. And I was like, man, what doll are you talking about, man? And he was like, man, there's this freaking creepy ass doll, and it's in the house, and you know, and he was like, yeah, some fucking creepy ass doll. And I was like, what do you mean, man? Let me see this creepy ass doll. And so my nephew led us to the doll, and then my brother-in-law, he was like, yeah, you know, this doll, you know, my wife brought it, you know, her into the house. She said that her sister gave it to her from Mexico, and it was like, you know, handmade in this little small town in Mexico or some shit, and it's like super valuable. And I was like, let me see this fucking doll. What are you talking about? It's all creepy and shit. So they gave me this bag, and it was in this kind of like a cloth bag, and then inside the bag was this wooden box, and I opened the box, and there was this fucking crazy ass looking doll, dude. It was like this demonic looking ass doll, and there's like this kind of like a light pale green skin with this pink hair with this crazy looking eyes, and it looked like a demonic ass doll. And I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, why the hell is this doll in this house? What is this doll? And then they were like, well, they found it above the workstation in the garage, like the workshop of the big brother that passed away in the accident. And so they're like, and I was like, what the hell? Why is it doing up there? And they were like, well, he had the brother-in-law, the husband to the Mexican girl, had found the doll before and told her to throw it away. She said that, you know, she wanted to keep the doll, whatever. They got this big old argument. She said that she liked the doll. He said it looked demonic. Get it out the house. She said that she was going to throw it away. So she was walking out the door like she was going to throw it away. He watched her, and he said, where are you going? And she was like, I'm going to throw this doll away since it's causing us so much trouble. And then, so he left it at that. So then, like about 3 months later, he's in the house, and he overhears his daughter talking to his mom saying something about that doll or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I hid it somewhere in the house or whatever. And so he kind of walked in, and he was like, what do you mean you hid it in the house? I thought you threw it away. And she was like, yeah, I was going to throw it away, but, you know, I decided to keep it. And he was like, well, where'd you put it? And she was like, well, I put it away in the garage. And so she put it above, you know, this guy's workstation, my brother-in-law's workstation. And it was there when they pointed it out to me. It was still sitting there. So I was like, what the fuck, man? Get this shit. I'm going to get this shit out the house right now. Why haven't y'all gotten rid of it? So they were going to burn it in the backyard in the fire pit, but I was like, no, I don't want to burn this shit in the house. Like, I mean, in the backyard. I don't want those fumes or whatever the fucking, you know, smoke or whatever.
That bad juju.
Yeah, I don't want that bad voodoo shit going into my house, and, you know, into the parents' house or whatever. And, you know, what if you're activating that spirit by burning it or something, you know? So I just took it, and I took it down to the bayou, like maybe 5 miles away or so, and then I just chunked it into the bayou. And it's a pretty fast-running bayou, so that it just ran off. You know, I checked the next day, and it was gone. But you know, I mean, if I just found this stupid doll, I wouldn't say shit. You know, it's no big deal. But the main thing is, I found this doll and she stuffed it. You know, I don't know why she stuffed it there, but she put it above, you know, the brother-in-law's place where he does all his, you know, workshop stuff, and then he ends up passing away. You know, so I don't know if anything's related to that. I don't know if she put prayers into trying to get him. You know,
I was going to ask, do they have?
Let me say one more thing.
Sure.
On the side of the box, it said magic, death in Spanish. It said magic, Magic, I believe, and muerte, Muerte.
That's
so
nice.
that's what it said on the side, and it translates to magic death.
Did they have problems, the mother-in-law or whatever, with? Was there
The mother-in-law
animosity?
and the father-in-law, this girl was having problems with everybody in the house.
So this doll, is it a like literal doll, like a human form doll, or is it like a weird? Because I've seen some Mexican stuff that's really crazy wooden figures that they actually sell in New Orleans. That kind of just when you started talking about this, my mind went there.
Orleans, where it's kind of like yarn or something like that.
Oh, so literal voodoo doll.
This is let me see. I mean, it's actually carved out of something like a porcelain or something, but the face is kind of like a light green skin color. It might be plastic actually, but it's like or it might be porcelain. I don't know. I didn't handle it really. I didn't want to really touch the motherfucker. I just fucking
I get it.
grabbed the box and I just grabbed the box and I was like, what the hell? This shit looks evil as hell. And then so I just shut the box, and then I just, you know, me and my wife and my brother-in-law took it down to the bayou and I just chunked it. And then and so anyways, this fucking doll came up with this girl, and we just wanted to ask her about it, you know, question her about it and shit. And she blew up, you know, on us about it. And I don't know if she's trying to, I don't know what's going on with this stupid doll, but I feel like, did it have anything to do with, you know, could she have put some kind of curse on the family, you know, somehow trying to pull that voodoo bullshit.
Well, no, there's different. What is it? It's Santeria, I think. Yes, I know there's a song, but truly, I had looked into Santeria back. You're so on top of your game, my friend. I love this dude.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for sure. All right,
I'm done.
But yeah, there's different offshoots. There's different, you know, systems. There's different things. That's why I was wondering. What I was told in the French market about the ones I'm talking about were they were the helpful beings that brought good dreams and things like that. So, and they were cute and colorful and weird, some were, but they definitely didn't sound like what you're talking about. What you're talking about sounds pretty crazy, especially with the magic death on this side there, which brings to mind Dybbuk boxes and things like that. I mean, there's the allegedly the whole idea behind that movie Annabelle with the haunted doll is based on a dude who really has that fucking doll somewhere, and it's really haunted. I mean, the guy who that movie's based on is supposed to be a real guy, just like all the what was his name back in the day with the voodoo and the zombie stuff, Wade Davis, who did all that research. I mean, this stuff has all got some really, you know, deep research behind it. If you look into it, you can find some stuff. And what's crazy, most of the stuff I used to find was in my high school library. A lot of magic books, a lot of voodoo books, a lot of Santeria books right there for you in high school, so you can get educated.
Think any of your teachers were into voodoo?
I doubt it. They weren't smart enough to have been into voodoo. I had a lot of really
Yeah,
Yeah.
so did I. I had a lot of teachers that
I had
went
some
to that
amazing ones, don't get
school.
me wrong, but they were amazing
Yeah,
because they were lights. They weren't dark at all.
most of the teachers that I had went to that high school themselves. Most of them. But then I had a couple that came from, just wherever, and yeah. Not to say all the ones that came from that school were bad, but Hobart wasn't known for its intelligence. It was known for its football. If that tells you anything.
It strikes me, Danny, that this is a sort of area that could never be conclusively resolved. But it's also an area that, if you buy into this, then it absolutely has or can have an effect on you. But I imagine there are other ways of spiritually or psychologically putting up barriers against this sort of stuff. It's like being cursed or something, and these curses just bouncing off you because you're not buying into it. But I don't know. I'm not qualified in this sort of area, and it is knocking on for 1:30 here. So I just wanted to say hi to Billy Ray Valentine in chat.
Indeed.
Shout out to BRB.
I just wanted to say tomorrow, January 30th, we're trying to have some sort of revolution in the UK where people are reopening their shops. I'd like to say good effort on anyone that can do that. Let everyone know that you are reopening January 30th. And finally, thumb it up or thumb it down. I don't care either way, but just hit that fucking thumb thing. There's 50 odd people watching, plenty of people in the chat, etc. But yeah, Danny, Walt is your man on this front with voodoo dolls and stuff.
Well.
Thanks, John.
No worries, but speak to you soon.
It's,
Good
it's
luck
always
tomorrow,
good to be
man.
among
I hope it all works out tomorrow, John. Truly.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's not a big fat nothing burger and a big turd pie. I don't, like most things are at the moment. From what I hear, the vaccine that they've done millions of people in this country already, it takes away all notion of rebellion. It is literally, if the fluoride didn't work, then you ain't gonna hope in hell against this thing. It'll take away your religion, your beliefs, your any thought provocation in your brain, and yeah. So hopefully there's enough people out there that will open their bloody shops and get on with life, for crying out loud. We shall see.
I came back to Portland and opened my shop up today. It was my first day back, and no mask. I'm not wearing a mask, and my wife's not wearing a mask. So
nice.
That's how you made an entrance onto the show.
Dude, I know things in Oregon were like draconian when I was there. Not just in the home I was in, which had lost its mind with it, but the whole state, the governor, she was like apparently trying to be sued with it because she was doing things way early before the whole country got involved. She was shutting things down left and right. And
it's been crazy over here with all that kind of shit. Luckily, my shop used to be right in the heart of all that stuff, but we moved out of there about 3 years ago, and so now we're kind of in the burbs, about 20 minutes away from that stuff. But who knows? I mean, that stuff could pour out of this way this direction anytime.
Yeah.
Go on, plug your shop, Danny, if you want.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, Brian.
Tell them about your place, man. Tell them about the Happy Sparrow.
Oh, the Happy Sparrow. I mean, it's a little bakery, coffee shop that we run up here. It's called in a little town called Lake Oswego. little town outside of Portland, Oregon. I mean, I'm not trying to, plug the business or nothing, but
Well, dude, you've been at it.
The little plug airtime there.
Absolutely, dude. Anything we can do in our little bit of, tiny corner of the YouTube world, definitely will help you out, friend. And like I said, I have family in the area who, when I left there, were not even going out and about much. But once they do get out and about and are able, and I can go there again without all the craziness, then I definitely will come see you. But I'll be pointing everybody I know over there your way,
man,
for sure.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, especially doing it now in the middle of all this.
Small corner of the world thing. I have gotten somebody. It's funny. We were on a show the last time I was on one of the call-ins. Someone called in the shop. I was working in the middle of the night, and some guy called into the shop. I usually don't answer phone calls in the middle of the night because the shop's closed and I'm just baking. But this person just kept persistently calling, and so I picked up the phone. And they said, "Hey, were you just on a call, like a call in on the show, or whatever? From this, is this the Happy Sparrow?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he was like, "Yeah, I just heard you on the show, and I just wanted to call in and see if if this Happy Sparrow, is real. I'm gonna come and support you guys. I'm in the area." Awesome. I was like, "Okay, cool, man. Cool." So he ended up coming and coming through with his buddy and supporting the place, and
that's awesome.
Actually become a good friend in truth. A truth
awesome,
buddy, we chop it up all the time about truth, and he ends up being a really cool guy. He lives not just a couple hours away, but he ended up coming into the town here and stopping by the shop. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, so I appreciate y'all saying the people, even though you talk about small corner of the world or whatever. It sends people this.
Yeah, but it's the cool corner. It's where all the cool kids hang out, man.
Right. You don't have to.
Truly, though, I mean, I don't want to. I don't want you to go before we kind of discuss it a bit more. I mean, dude, if you suspect things are, hinky there's protection. There's things you can do energetically. If you're worried about the family there. This is Texas, right? Texas.
Yeah, it's in Texas.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just don't know, I would have to know more about the family's history and how they, what their history would be. Exposure to this is the mother-in-law, is that her thing? That could be her thing. I know there's people here in Louisiana, like growing up, it was always this thing, the joke was, I'll find a traiteur and then, put a curse on you. That's like the local shaman, usually an older lady that knows her herbs and her poultices, but they also know some things and they'll read your cards.
No, it's definitely not the mother thing, because the mother-in-law elected to give her the boot and give her, and she ousted. She was like talking to my wife as if my wife didn't have the power to give her, tell her to leave.
Oh,
and my wife was like, well, I'm speaking for the parents, and it was this big ass blowout and shit, and so she ended up having to leave, and the parents were like, bye, take you and your crazy ass voodoo energy out of here.
Right.
They were.
Well, just like I said, there's shops I would walk into in New Orleans that had that get the fuck out energy. There were also shops you go into there with light and love and protection, and you feel that, and the person basically develops you in that, and their energy, and their energy's talking to their energy, and you walk out of there with some herbs or some crystals or some things that call to you while you're in there, and you feel better for having those, because I think that's more of an exchange of prana and love than it being a magic device, or I think that is more of it than anything. But anything that can like focus that positivity and help that situation, I wish I could point you to some things, but like you being in Oregon, them being in Texas, where I would know anything would be New Orleans, and that's been years ago. So locally there, I know some people that used to be in some circles that might have some answers in Oregon, because they were some very spiritual people. But again, that's dealing in Texas, and I don't know. Long distance energy is a real thing. So We
Yeah.
can definitely all send some
Yeah, I'm
positive.
not worried about that. I'm not worried about that little stupid ass doll following me. You know.
Well, no, it's just, the family and
I'm just worried for
welfare
my
of
parents.
kids.
Like my in-laws, like just having to deal with that bullshit. And we prayed over the house, and we just like in the blood of Jesus to get that doll's energy or whatever she wanted to bring, that death energy into the house, get it out of here.
Well, you're miles ahead already then.
To the brother-in-law. We just kind of prayed over it, me and my wife, and we prayed out loud, hands up all around the house, and to say the house is covered in the blood of Jesus, and get the fuck out of here. You can't be fucking with this house and these families. And so I didn't know what else to do, but
That sounds perfect, man.
It's only you believe. If you believe it and you pour your energy into that voodoo stuff, then yeah, it might be real. But I've never had to deal with it like firsthand and shit like this right here. So I just wanted to call in and see, y'all's input on what y'all got on that right there.
So I've had some negative repercussions from playing around with Ouija boards. Just weird stuff. Kind of set me on a negative trajectory. And it got to the point where I could almost feel a presence at the very least, the heaviness, the weightiness of the negativity. And it was
that stuff is real, definitely.
And there's something to be said about the name of Jesus Christ and its ability to command and control this negative energy. I don't know if it's in the vibration or if it's the covenant and the fact that he's God's only begotten son, put here on earth to redeem all of mankind's sins so that they may enter heaven. Either way, it does seem to have some effect. But even the very act of acknowledging and speaking to it, just talking out loud and acknowledging it and telling it to fuck off, I think has a real power. And I think it if anything, buys time, but definitely is worth doing. Just telling them. Just like Zach likes to talk to plants. It's not a bad idea.
I was just about to say that. That's why, okay, I'll say it. I believe in voodoo because you can put intent into anything. Now, is it going to work? I don't know. But yeah, we are so powerful, people. We can do things that we can't even fathom.
That's the power of intention.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
and
a
if
real
you
thing.
really, truly believe it enough, it's going to happen. But it's not something that you think is going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
You're expecting it. It's not an if, it's a when. It's a, that's why I always like to tell my story about my buddy Chuck, right? Damnedest thing I've ever seen, but that boy had it in spades and he just didn't even know it. So
this is Chuck that always got cut off.
Chuck that always got cut off. I mean, yeah. And I mean, I have lots of stories like that, especially in my own life. But I mean, I like that one in particular because it was just so incredibly profound with him. And he had no idea. It's like, dude, it's so obvious. It's like you listen to you and you're always talking about it. I mean, it's in the forefront. It's in your consciousness. And bada bing, you make it happen like it's clockwork, man. It's just phenomenal that he's able to do that. So yeah, it's all in the intention and what you get, and of course that's why placebos work, right? People have a lot of faith and trust in their doctor, even if they have like really, really low odds. If they have a high belief in their doctor and the medication or whatever, their own power of intention, their own power of belief is going to get them through that, and does, and quite often, I mean, it's just something that it's not a speculation, it's a reality, and people really need to understand that.
I heard a story.
Appreciate that, Bob.
I heard a story a few months ago about people setting up placebo shops. You could go in and get your placebos.
Oh, that's funny.
Isn't that hilarious?
That is hilarious. They do this. No, I agree with going back. I agree with Zach on how powerful. And as far as voodoo and different things go, if you're in a place, a learning ground where you're trying to learn, I think you should be careful what doors you want to open up. If you're here to have different options and things to choose from, to like intentionally open up a dark, within a Ouija, talk to the dark side, it's like, yeah, I think it's going to present if you if you go after it. So yeah, be real careful what doors you open. I think it's totally creepy.
I would never even try to enter that dark realm to try to battle back with darkness.
Right.
I just
Me too. I was always freaked out.
bring the light of Jesus and bring the light of the Lord, and that's more powerful than all that dark bullshit.
Unfortunately, it sometimes isn't a choice, and sometimes you just gotta be ready for what's coming your way, or what's headed your family's way, or whatever. And over years, dealing with and experiencing and figuring out things, it's not always. Yeah, belief has a lot to do with it, and placebos, and we all know this works, but there's some dark shit lurking around some places, and if you're not careful, you can summon it up your way. I mean, Josh with the Ouija board is a classic example. My sister-in-law still has an entity with her in her life that she has a name for, that's been with her since she was 14, playing with a fucking Ouija board. So, yeah, without a doubt.
Wow.
And she's one of the most.
She had the same thing with the Ouija board. She played with the Ouija board when she was young, and she had all this bad stuff happen to her.
Yeah.
And we one day we prayed about it, and she really hasn't had those reoccurring type of feelings again about stuff. So I don't know. Maybe maybe the power of the Lord. I mean, we always hear about it being like prayer works, but when you're seeing it firsthand as a shield, as protection, and you have the full faith in it, then it's gotta have some power in it.
I think a lot of it too is with the power is choice, and you go and you play with the Ouija board, or that you're making a conscious choice to open the doors to dark, and if you don't close those doors, so you're like accepting God or doing different, just doing something to close the door that you open with intention and choice. In other words, I think again, your big thing is people leave those doors open, and they open them by choice. That door's open because they chose to open it. They leave it open, and until you choose to close it and make the other, follow through, that's again unintended consequences of opening a door and not closing it behind you. Something you learn as a child.
Oh, I get what you're saying, Kevin. No, I appreciate that.
Is the Ouija board purely dark, or is it just you're going to get the majority of it is?
I think it gives you back what you take in with it.
Right, but you're going in there thinking you're opening a door to the dark side. I mean, that's your intention. You're opening a door to the other, to a spirit world or a demon world. You take that intention when you take the Ouija board.
Well, I'm going to have to play devil's advocate a bit on this one.
Definitely.
I think it ties back to when Jerry was here with us, and he talked about, or even when James has been here with us and talking about his experience being, helping people in addiction and folks who are all in a room doing the same drug, not doing like meth or something really terrible, dark drug, and they all see the same dark entity over in the corner. There are things that are frequently, that's not the right word I'm trying to think of. They are just outside our sight. They are just outside of our vibration. Yeah. They are just outside of our senses, and they are right there, and they are doing everything they can to trigger you, to push you over the edge, to make you do the bad things. They're there. And if you are playing around,
isn't doing the drugs, isn't that opening the door to it? Isn't playing with the hard drug that a dark drug, isn't that the same as playing with the Ouija board?
And trying to protect myself.
You're opening a channel.
From things that were in the room, dark things trying to get her. I wasn't exposed to meth or dark reading or any kind of thing that would have
No,
led
these
to
things
think about
attack
these
you and
They're
everybody
there. They've been
all
there.
the
They're
time.
here.
They've been there, and again, if you didn't open that channel, maybe somebody else did or whatever. But again, the channels are
And
open,
it
and a
could
lot of the
very well
times you
be
could be
family
somebody,
and
yeah,
blood and all of that. Oh,
right.
absolutely, absolutely. And then we get
Just
back to
like
the whole
again,
thing with Danny and
if
his question
you,
of was the family the one who put this on
hmm
them, or was it something he attracted? I mean, there's all kind of
hmm
sides to this, but yeah, the dark
The
side
only
around.
the only reason I asked that is basically when I was younger, I think I was about 21 or so. I read a book by by a lady named Jane Roberts. And it's called Death
the
Speaks and things. Yeah. So and the way that she would go into a type of trance thing and communicate, and her husband would dictate what was going on, supposedly.
isn't
And
this the same stuff that Bob's mom read? Bob,
What stuff?
Jane Roberts, isn't Jane and the Seth material what your mom
Oh
was
yeah,
reading?
yeah. I
Keep
read.
on
I
going.
read
I'm
it
sorry,
too.
and he read it too. Yeah.
yeah, anyway, it's basically and they started their journey with the Ouija board as well. And I don't see that material as negative in any aspect whatsoever.
Exactly. You take into it, you get out of it what you take into it. In other words, if you are seeking with a higher vibration or more of a loving type of vibration, that is what you will come out of it with. It's not necessarily all evil or all darkness. The
Oh no,
universe
that's good. I'm
operates
sorry,
on,
I may have misspoke. I'm sorry, I didn't want to make you think.
yeah, no, the universe
all these
operates
dark
on
demons.
vibrational
There's good
matches.
all over the place, but if you're unaware, the dark things are seeking you. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. When you
By the
turn
way,
on
is
that
somebody
light,
building something?
you've suddenly lit up on a board for them, and
Oh,
now
I'm
you're now
I'm
seeking,
baking it
whether it's
right
good
now.
or bad, you're lit up. You know what I mean? And now they're looking at you. That's all. Or I don't know if it happened to y'all, but when we all started talking about this early on and flat Earth and waking up, we were attacked constantly, daily, nightly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, when you let them become aware of you, when your frequency shifts, I think they start fucking with you more. Maybe that's
Right.
part of it.
And who was it that's building something?
That's Danny.
Oh,
He's
I'm
baking.
I'm in the middle of baking at my my little bakery over here.
Oh God, it sounds like you're building a house or something. Very noisy.
I heard somebody say that while
Sorry,
doing it. It hasn't been that distracting.
I'm slamming these ovens. I got these ovens and proofers and I got three ovens going on at the same time actually. So sorry.
I'm building a copper coil right now.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I
well,
mean,
I thought you were playing pinball.
Yeah, so I mean that's
if you and Cammy are ever in the Portland area, stop by on into our place. I'd love to.
Oh, we'd love to do that. Actually, Portland's gorgeous. We flew over it a few years back, and it was absolutely beautiful. And yeah, I'd love to go up there.
Nice. Yeah, it's a great town, but it's a lot of this crazy political stuff is going on, definitely. But it's definitely it's a cool, really, really nice part of the country to be a part of, be in. But you're in South Carolina now, right?
Yep, we're in South Carolina now. And what did you say, Cammy? Just say it. Just say it over the.
Oh, never. I was talking about in the chat. Walt did a little sign back to the chat on you, like you do the little pictures in the chat.
Yeah, I
did that
too.
in honor of Bob. I was like, what? Bob took me back to my ASCII days. I used to do all kind of little rabbits and all kind of stuff in the old chat days. Yeah. So I saved that one. I had to pull it out.
There you go. So yeah, that's all I was saying. Getting back to that original point is, like anything, Ouija board, whatever, just because you're dealing with it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a completely dark, evil type spiritual entity. The universe, at least in my opinion, operates on a principle of resonance or vibrational matches. Okay, so if you take something into a Ouija board or any type of, I guess what some would refer to as a paranormal situation, you are going to likely come out of it with whatever vibrational frequency you're going into it with. In other words, if there's dark intentions behind it, chances are there's going to be some problems, coming out on the other side. So,
And I agree with that. I definitely do.
Yeah.
So if it says magic death on the side right there. I mean,
That's kind of dark. That's a little dark.
Yeah, that's dark. Yes, that's very dark.
It was just a doll by itself.
I don't want to belabor the point.
Or whatever.
I don't want to belabor the point.
With everything that happened and the way it happened and everything, I was just like, I
I
wouldn't
think
even.
what you guys did is the best thing you could have done
Anything else,
in the
but-
situation. The prayers and the love and drive it away. That's
Mhm.
that's perfect. So just anyone out there that's dabbling, just gird your loins. Be ready. Don't go in blindly. Don't go in. Just be ready.
Yep, for sure.
Know what you're getting into.
Well, I mean, I'm sure she's probably got some bad energy coming towards us right now because she's not even in the house anymore. She has to move in with her sister. So I mean, she's probably pretty pissed and probably got a lot of bad mojo, whatever you want to call it, towards us right now. But I don't give a fuck. Fuck her.
Well, you know what, Josh? I don't think your buddy's coming.
No, I got a text. He's got 3 kids. His wife was out, so he was trying to get them settled down to a point where he could get away, but they were having none of it. So, yeah, it looks like.
Well, we can do a call with him off the air, away from our time frame when it works better for him. Because I definitely want to hang out and talk to him if he's open to discussion. It's always a good step.
Yeah, I suppose we can do a pre-record and just release it out. I know we have an actual Patreon page. I'm sure we could get back to focusing on the Patreons like we should.
Yes, we kind of got sidetracked with holidays and etc. Liz asked this morning if things would go up. I told her that they would this weekend. My plan is I have some free time. I've got my sound back to a place. I'm happy with it for a minute until I get the power supply conditioner here. I'll put a video up just for you, Liz. I don't know what it'll be yet, but something. It may just be me learning a song, but we'll see what I do. And then Josh is planning on getting the discussion we had with Alex and Allison together as well. And I don't know if that's going up for sure till Wednesday.
That's the plan. Ideally, I'll get started on that tomorrow night, finish it up on Sunday. Fingers crossed. And that's the plan, is Wednesday when we meet to talk to Alex and Allison again about the show for Friday. Then we will be premiering it at the same time, so we can all be hopped in chat and saying hi to everybody whilst that premieres on a Wednesday is the plan.
That sounds like a plan.
And then the Friday after that, after Alex and Allison come on to discuss masks and basic human rights and things like that, should be the 12th, I do believe. Is that right? No, I think there's one in between. So maybe it's 2 weeks. Regardless, I do believe we are greenlit for a Valentine's Day show. So, Walter, I don't know how your pressure on Shell is going.
I'm doing it so subtly.
That's the only way to do it.
So subtly.
Yeah. And see, I think that might have been part of Derek's problem, was he was a little less subtle about it. And I think his wife was not thrilled about him kind of running off to spend time talking about
Talk to some nut jobs.
run off and do at all the times. So, yeah, I think she's kind of wanting some of his attention. So I totally get that. Like I told her before, I know that battle very, very well. But that said, Dixie
So easy for me. Go ahead.
Dixie will be on the 12th. So she has agreed. The plan is to have Rose and Jason on. Rose is coming on. I think I still need to reach out to Jason and verify.
And I've been meaning to do that, and I just haven't because things, life, whatever. It's my guitar. I'm not going to lie. I've been really pissed about my sound since I got the new effects.
So hopefully Jason and Rose. Bob, I hope you can join us then again on the 12th. Not that you're ever excluded any other time, but specifically the 12th for the Valentine's Day show. It'd be nice to have a actual flat Earth couple.
You're here so much, Bob. We would just invite you on the team, except I'm afraid it would cause some kind of flat Earth antimatter explosion, and we would just wipe everything out. So,
Yeah, you don't want that happening.
Yeah, Hank's being an asshole. I don't think he's going to show.
Well, tell him to quit being a bitch.
well, if John can't get his missus, at least he has a
Oh.
four-legged friend that will show up too.
Hank, they called you a bitch. Wow.
So, hey, Lucas, what are the chances you think you might get Alex to pop on for just a brief second to say hi and tell us what it's like having to put up with cigarettes?
Yeah, it's possible.
Possible? That would be really awesome.
Yeah, that's probably what you'll get out of Shell is her off camera telling you guys how much fun it is to live on my crazy ass, and then
Oh, don't get me wrong. Dixie's not going to be on camera.
right.
She will not be on camera, but she'll be here. She'll be sitting right over here off camera, but she'll be here.
And I'm so mad. Yesterday, I had a thing come through while I was on the road about an ad for a mic that somehow with a code was going to go down to like really a ridiculous price, not the 80 or 90 it is now. And by the time I got home, I could actually deal with it. It had already been taken off or sold out or whatever. So I need to get a secondary mic here. The one I had is not working.
Huh. That's no bueno. But I do
But
have
between now and then, I have access to one. I just have to hit somebody up for their little condenser mic. It'll all work out.
Well, not only will Dixie be here, but I do have a couple other surprises lined up that may be worthwhile. So make sure you tune in on the 12th for the Valentine's Day special. That's been long discussed here since, well, year one, I believe. I thought would be a really cool idea just to get our spouses in and talk about what it's like having to put up with people that have found flat Earth and what that awakening was like from an outside perspective.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool show to have. I'll make sure my wife was with me for that show too. Then.
Awesome, man. That would be great. That would be great.
I'm still.
She's all up on this truth, flat Earth stuff, and she's been trying to educate her friends and stuff too, and she's been feeling the whole, cold shoulder about some of the truth stuff too lately. And she's a trooper though. She's a trooper. She's like, can't wake them all up, then at least you can try. At least you said you tried,
Has she been on board since you got on board, or did it take a few little steps to get her there?
It took me about 6 months of my own personal just research saying this is fucking crazy with and then going back and forth, and then I looked into it for about 2 months or 3 months, and then I put it away, and then I picked it back up again for about 3 months. So once I picked it back up, and I was like, no, I can't stop thinking about it. It's everywhere I go, everywhere I walk.
Right.
Everywhere I see, every time I go outside, it's like,
it's in the sky, right?
And yeah, it's everywhere. And then, it's just written in the sky with the clouds, everything, everywhere.
Exactly.
And then once I knew it for sure, then I brought it to her attention, and she was like, that makes a lot of sense. And so I pointed all the things out that made sense to me about it, using my five senses. She was like right on board right away. She started kind of making observations of her own, started bringing up stuff, too. And she listens to Cammy and Bob and with me when there and stuff. And so it's cool having a spouse that is on board. It'd be hard to have a spouse that's not on board that you have to try to convince.
Our buddy Robert can tell you all about it from Australia. Yep.
Oh, shoot. Tough place to be, brother.
It definitely was, unfortunately, for him. And we definitely miss having him around as much, and hopefully he'll be here soon.
We've had several people in chat that have had to take a step back because of their flat earthing and refocus their attention on their other half and make sure that they know that they are also still a priority.
Yeah.
Which is vital. Yeah. Balance is key.
Yeah, we miss you, Vagabond. That's the first one that comes to mind every time.
Yep.
We should play that video going out, by the way, today as a little honorarium for our buddy.
That'd be a good one. It's been a while since we played the actual video, huh?
There you go. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bail out then and let you
Thank
close
you
down the
again,
show.
Bob. Thank you, sir.
It is time.
Sorry that it didn't turn as
Me too.
hammy as we planned, but I think we definitely touched on some interesting stuff, especially with all the
Yeah,
saline
definitely.
layer or the sodium layer, not saline layer, but I was thinking
Yeah,
about
sodium
saline.
layer. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
don't buy into that. That makes no sense
No,
at all.
but just the idea of it being the energy layer and the
Yep.
yeah,
Well, there's
yeah.
something there that must be interacting with the light. That's blatantly obvious. There's also something there that is able to stop upward directed high voltage lightning currents dead in their tracks and flatten it out. I mean, there's something there, and I whatever that is, obviously I think it's the firmament. But it just, it doesn't match up with what they tell us is out there in the heliocentric model. So, no surprises, but anyway, thanks guys for having me on, and I'll catch you next time.
Do apologize. It
Thanks,
was
Bob.
as hammy as I'd hoped.
Hey, nice talking to you, Bob.
Yeah, nice talking to you guys too. And no worry, Josh. It's fam. It's all good.
Good deal, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, see you guys later.
Thank you. Well, Danny, I don't want to keep you from your bacon too much longer, friend. I'm so glad you reminded me that you're D flat there in chat. I tried to find your channel, and like so many now, that's made it so hard to find. So when you get a minute, pop it in chat for us so I can share that.
Yeah. It's I mean, because I used to go by Professor Figure, and then I was all like confusing and all this stuff. My wife was like, you need to get something real simple, right to it. So, my name's Danny. She was like, I was like, how about D Truth? And she was like, there you go. Goes right to the point. Easy to remember.
Well, next time you talk to your buddy there that came in to visit you, make sure you give him a great big old flat earth hug from the crew here.
Absolutely.
How much we appreciate you guys listening and being a part of our ride here. It's
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you guys made the
Really
connection.
cool.
That's
Really
great.
cool guy. Hey, nice talking to you, Josh.
Thank you, Danny. Anytime at all. I will do my best to try to keep this flat line open a little more. I do tend to forget that it's there, and so I don't use it that often. There's voicemails from old Hal I've missed. And I know she's listening, Hal, we miss you. I'm sorry Google's locked you out. But I know you're listening, and we do appreciate your support. But yeah, feel free to call in anytime, Danny. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Seems like this isn't the first time that you've left here with me just completely dumbfounded, gobsmacked, betwaddled. I am completely betwaddled, Danny. You've done it to me, so I think that's at least the second or third time you've done it to me. So thank you. I do enjoy it.
Well, we can work on these subjects together and figure it out together.
I love it. Well, you have yourself a
All right,
great
brother.
rest of your weekend.
Absolutely. Stay in touch, friend. Love you, friend.
All right, take care, Walt. All right, love y'all.
See you, Danny.
East Rise.
Later, Danny.
All right, John. Later, John. Take it easy. Bye.
He's there. He's pissed or pissing. God, that's so awesome. Damn it. Yep, I don't know what to say after that.
Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Oh, what you got? Oh, look at this dude.
Those are magnets. North, south, north, south, north, south. But I don't know.
So you got them pressing against each other or facing out?
No, they're going out, and see, I think the problem might be see how it's like hitting north, south, north all at the same
Right.
time.
That's what I was about to
on
say.
that
If you
one.
could figure out a way
I
to
think
get
I
them
need
both
to
away.
do 3 north, or maybe just 2. No, it would have to be 3. So 3 north, 3 souths. Maybe that would work better. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play with it. But that's what I'm playing with right now.
I'm gonna have to go out and see what he's playing with because I can't see
With
it.
it having
Got
both
in a thumbnail
sides?
and a little one.
Do what?
So
I'm
I'll
sorry,
have to go
Katie.
out and see it. No, I can't see it on the screen because I'm on a little mobile or whatever, but I can walk out to the garage and see what he's up to.
Zach, I can't
Fabulous.
remember the name. Remember the name of the effect when you do the copper and the magnet tube, and it slows it down. Maybe
It makes
just
eddy
use.
currents. It's
Thank you.
called the. Oh, I'm having a brain fart.
Me too.
Lenz's law or
Lenz's law.
That's it.
lenses.
So maybe if you only used one set of coils, I'm trying to figure out how that would work though. I don't know. It just seems like they're fighting each other. You know what I'm saying? If that effect is happening on both sides of it, if it was only on one side, it would push it maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but a
I'm
lot
just
of the
trying to work it
people
out in my
use
mind.
different coils.
Right.
Put it on both sides.
Make a third coil. And make a
R4,
triangle out.
right. Balance it all the way, maybe around.
369. I'd just do 3.
Oh, you just Tesla'd the fuck up.
That's at 4.5 volts. The thing's cruising right now. It seems
Levitate,
pretty
levitate,
balanced. That's
levitate.
crazy. Wouldn't that be awesome? Just up to the roof.
I know you guys have seen the video.
Yeah,
Cell
Kim, I
phone,
love it.
cell phone,
Yeah.
and the glass and the quarters, and he puts it all together and the glass levitates. Remember that video?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'll find that video.
I do vaguely remember that video. So I got my 100 neodymium magnets. I think it's the N50s or the
Drop
N40s.
that link. Drop that link.
I don't think they're 52s, Zach.
That's still pretty good. N50s are still, I mean,
Look
just
at
a
it.
few years ago, there wasn't an N50.
Yeah, I don't think at the price I got them were the N52s. Even the shape, I don't think they even had the shape that I bought them in N52s. But I got 100 of them. So they're going to be scattered throughout my garden for sure.
Nice.
I mentioned it on the morning show, but I walked in one of the mornings this week. I'll be damned if I can remember which one. And the philodendron with the button magnet that I put underneath it had gotten so big and top heavy that it had fallen out of the glass of water. I had to pick it up and put it back in the water and reposition it so that the roots were still in there. It's hydroponic gardening with basically spring water, a bottle of spring water. We didn't want to use tap water because it's way too chlorinated. So the wife brought home a bottle of water from work and was putting that in the cups for the fill to grow in. And with the magnets, it's a hanging plant, but it's growing up. The leaves and the sprouts are reaching for the sky. It's the growth is amazing. The colors are so dark green that I think that there's a magnetic aspect to photosynthesis that I don't know that has been discussed, because the fact that it is growing so well with just that magnet, sunlight, and water, with no dirt, no nutrients except what was in a bottle of spring water.
Just by amplifying the natural magnetic field by placing that magnet underneath it, that is amazing. I mean, it blows my mind.
Mine too.
This is beauty. I mean, this is the beauty and the simplicity when it comes together, and how simple and perfect, like the obvious, it was there all along. My favorite stuff. It's my very favorite stuff.
It's going to completely change the way that I garden, I think. If I can get production and growth from one plant based on these magnets, anything else would just be a waste of time.
I wonder if the plants that live above magnetic ley lines grow bigger.
I would think that they would.
I would think everything does. That's what I think it was. What were the
I'm
giants?
putting some of these magnets in my shoes.
There you go.
I'm gonna grow taller.
At least feel taller while you're walking. And probably again, if to align yourself better, more in alignment, I don't see any problem with that, Zach. I might have to do some too. I know Karen is starting a class, and it just got there, and she said next week she'll be doing it in the online classes. But Karen B, who was over here just a little bit ago, and I'll
Awesome.
be seeing her tomorrow. She is doing a class on biomagnetics and aligning with the body and that. And again, it only makes sense if you can do this with plants. Think about the healing you could do with
When
the
and
body
where
by
for
knowing
this
how to
thing?
align. You would have to talk to her. She signed up for it. It's an online class that you had to sign up for in advance, and it has a live
Oh,
instructor
okay,
in
okay.
that. So
I got you.
it's something that she paid for,
Oh,
like a
she's
college class.
taking the class. I thought
She's
she was presenting it. I was like, oh,
Oh,
thank God.
but you know our Karen B, if she's taking the
Once she
class,
gets
you
it,
know
she'll have
you
it. Right.
as soon as she's got it, and
Nice.
and today she was so cute. I love her to pieces. I can't tell you how much I love being close next to her, but she was saying, Cami, you know, this is so exciting and it's so great. But you know, the bastards they can't help but throw in like the globe imagery and the different stuff on
Always.
their presentation material. And it just makes me so mad. But still she's going to incorporate again it just like everything else. If you incorporate it to the flat earth and the way that the magnetics naturally work on the flat earth, which she's pays very, very close attention to and understands, again, just putting another factor, another learning block. And because it's Karen, I know she'll teach me, but I know that she'll be keeping everybody in tune as she's learning and putting in the pieces, because that's what she does so well, is teach.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to bail, guys.
All right, brother.
Thanks for
Lucas,
having me.
thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad you get to hang out with us now, or we get to hang out with you.
That's it.
It's pleasure's all mine. It's great. Love it.
Yeah, go have fun in the garden, man. I'll talk to you.
All right, mate.
Love
Thanks,
you,
guys.
Lucas.
Love you
Take care,
too.
Lucas.
See ya.
Love you, brother.
Drop that hint too for Alex that maybe she might be needed on the 12th for a moment.
Yeah, I will.
And I also noticed in chat that John himself said he will try and get the Savage S herself to come on. Just remind him.
Wow.
Now that would be something. See,
yeah.
never even
Epic.
entered my realm of consciousness that
At
would be
all.
an option.
I'm
So
gonna get her to turn on the camera.
Shit, this could be it. Everybody have your fucking DVRs set. Oh my God.
Oh, that's funny.
You know, you just nipped that all in the bud, right? John's like, oh shit,
Yeah, oh
I've been
yeah, I
digging
know.
that, mate. Fuck
No,
off.
he's gonna go have a conversation with her
Dude, I have so
tomorrow.
many layers of tape wrapped around every camera in sight. It won't ever happen. Don't worry.
you'll have her yelling through the door, standing outside the battle bus. That's where she gets to do her interview. Just yell a little louder. That's all.
Probably go in there. I'd be frank.
She gets to use it for her office during the day. By day, it's a home office. By night, it's a mad scientist laboratory / studio. All right, though, I do think it's time to get the fuck out of here.
Did you want me to try to share the video just to see?
Oh, yeah,
I
good
haven't
call.
done
Do it.
that.
Which
Oh,
one?
shoot, the freaking
There were a couple of them.
Vagabond, but I don't think I can find it. I'm looking. Hang on.
I might be able to find it. I don't.
We haven't heard Gerverty in a long time.
Well, I thought it was on my channel. I'm swear I'm looking because I thought it would be quicker to find.
think it's
I
on
had less
ours.
videos there. Well, I
There
know
are
I had it
black
on my
lights.
channel. Did they take it off my channel?
Is that the one that auto plays on Iron Realm?
No, that's that song that Wolfman Mike wrote for me. The Flat Earth Head song.
Is the one that auto plays on the IRM channel?
Oh, I thought you said on my channel. I'm sorry, because I'm looking at my channel too, still trying to find the damn thing. Yeah, no, is that the one that's playing on our channel, or is it my old version? I don't even know. Good Lord, just find it.
I can
and
probably
send it to me because I cannot find it.
Oops. Sorry. Because I think it should still be saved in my search.
Well, I just figure you had it handier than I do because
That's never handy. That's why it's probably still available in my search. Because I'm always having to search for Vagabond's version.
Completely dropped this ball, ladies and gentlemen. Da-doons.
Oh, I say that. That's
All
probably
right. And again, Liz and other patrons, I'll be working on song time after I leave here. Actually, I'm going to go play my guitar. I may just cold record and see what comes out, or I may make a song happen. Or
I see it. I'm going right to yours there, bub.
you got it? You sending it to me?
Yeah.
Where are you putting it in this chat?
Where would you
Love
like?
y'all.
In this chat.
Thanks for joining us. It was a fun
Absolutely,
one.
everybody. It was amazing. Again, as always, had a blast. Tried not to get too distracted. Even John helped out in chat, calling out some things amazingly. Thank you for calling so much again, Danny, and reminding us that you're D Truth, because I had completely lost that name change. And I remember when you did it. My apologies. Thank you again, Bob, for hanging out, sir.
Sorry, Derek couldn't make it, but again, I think we'll get a pre-record under our belts and be able to release that.
I'm trying to let these commercials play out. That's what I'm doing right now. Oh, I just thought I got to set my sound. Darn it. Hang on.
Son of a.
Thank you, Walt. Thank you, Josh.
No, thank you. Jack. I do enjoy hanging out with you. Miss your ass. I'd like to see you get back here to Missouri here one of these days.
One of these days.
Or me get out there to the.
Yeah.
One of these days.
I think you should come out here.
Once Baldini gets out here and gets Poppy Land going, you'll have a plot there.
Ooh. Now we're talking.
Oh, I didn't know we were going to grow poppies. Oh.
Dixie was showing me some plots of land she's finding cheap. She's getting excited about the idea of going big and going even more rural, which makes me smile big.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Is she looking in South Carolina?
I don't think she's looking that far out. I don't know. I don't know that she'd be opposed.
I think tell her to cast her little net out here.
That would be epic. Trust me, I've been having my eyeball cast that way.
I love Dixie. I mean, she's awesome. She puts up with you.
Right.
Right.
That does speak volumes.
It does.
It did for me at least. There's not many that can. But Dixie and all the fine folks here at INRL Media and all the fine folks out there in the chat are the very few and the very chosen few. So thank you guys for hanging out with me each and every Friday night and each and every Tuesday and Friday morning. It is an absolute pleasure and honored to be able to do that, and that you guys keep coming back. That is awesome.
Indeed.
I think we're going to round this show out. Let's get there.
I will play this and then turn it back to you to end it with the realm song.
We can probably just close it right out on this.
Close it off this. I just wasn't sure. All right, guys. Love you all. Thank you all again.
Love you guys.
Let me turn off my camera in case it pulls me down.
Love y'all.
Please let me know immediately if you're not hearing this.
I'm not hearing anything.
Got it.
Hear it now.